Apocalypse. Beginning by hoarding 10 billion supplies. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 226. Although the Ninth Order is very strong, it is unreasonable to be so outrageous. Looking at this huge tornado that could tear everything apart, Mu-Yun's heart was also full of surprise. If this is a king level existence, Faxin. However, even if a Ninth Order creature reaches its peak, it will definitely not be able to exaggerate like an octopus. Yes, the same race. The big eye had quietly run back to everyone's side, and at this moment it looked at the water spout tremblingly, muttering, "The Sea Clan's king." Its face was full of sadness and fear, and it looked very scared. The king of the Sea Clan. Mu-Yun frowned slightly. What kind of thing is that? I haven't heard of it. There's someone in the tornado. At this time, Liu Meng let out an exclamation. Her current ability is to control the water element, and through the water element perception, Liu Meng found that there were two figures in the water spout. What do you mean? Mu-Yun asked suspiciously. This battle was not unleashed by a giant octopus. Liu Meng affirmed, my spiritual power can feel that there are two terrifying forces at the center of the hurricane, and one of them is manipulating this water spout. Through Liu Meng's words, as well as the so-called king in the mouth of the big eye, a bad thought appeared in Mu-Yun's mind. Depend. This is a small boss, attracting a big boss. 1k, you take them out of here. This definitely has king level strength, and we definitely can't be opponents now. Mu-Yun ordered without hesitation. Aren't you leaving? If they chase them all the way to the dragon court, then it's troublesome. I'll lead them away. Mu-Yun's voice just fell. Boom, thunder clouds were thick in the sky, and swelling dark clouds began to slowly press towards them. Hurry up, I have a way to get out. 1k did not hesitate. He knew that Mu-Yun's special ability was very special, and ordinary people could not trap him at all. Be careful yourself. After that, he led the women to leave in a hurry. Big Eye also fled with Lin Yuxin's order. Although the women were worried, they knew that they would not help anything by staying, but would drag Mu-Yun down. Want to go? Ha ha ha, it's late. The rampant laughter of the giant octopus suddenly sounded. Immediately afterwards, tens of thousands of sea monsters suddenly appeared around them, and they jumped out of the water and rushed towards everyone. Laotizu. 1k roared angrily. His paws came out in unison, and he swooped into the ground with a vicious dog. The huge size and the huge force of full firepower, the earth was swept away by the palm of 1k, and the terrifying strong wind swept within a radius of 3 miles. Countless sea monsters were brutally killed and blown away by the aftermath. Taking advantage of this gap, 1k jumped hard, left the encirclement, and galloped towards the distance. Big octopus, your opponent is me. At the same time, Mu-Yun's indifferent voice came from the sky, and he immediately saw a silver-white streamer breaking through the sky. Boom. The giant octopus's huge tentacles slammed into the ground, causing endless splashes. Mu-Yun tried to use his strong flesh body to harden the giant octopus, not to mention, now Mu-Yun's punch was powerful. Damn, how can a 7th order human being have such a strong physical body? The giant octopus cursed angrily, but did not panic. Although Mu-Yun's punch is powerful, unfortunately, it did not cause much damage to the octopus. That is, it was more insulting. You do so much, look at the fist. Mu-Yun attacked again, and this time, his right arm turned into a metallic texture and exuded a faint light. Boom. With this punch, Mu-Yun hit the octopus its abdomen, directly knocking it out. Bastard. The octopus became angry and spat out a cloud of black water from his mouth. Mu-Yun's pupils shrank suddenly, and he immediately dodged, passing by, and the black water fell on the ground and corroded a pool of mud. I haven't been active for a long time. Let me see today where my limits are. Mu-Yun's fighting spirit was high, and his knuckles crackled. Million tons of flying legs. He instantly appeared in front of the giant octopus, raised his legs, and kicked at the octopus. The octopus's tentacles immediately wrapped around it, trying to block this fierce attack. Bang! A violent collision sounded, and the giant octopus was kicked away again. Abominable. It's not over yet. Thunder. Mu Yun shouted angrily, surrounded by thunder and lightning, and turned into a thunder snake. He jumped and rode on top of Razor, and then threw a punch. Thunder fist. Click. A dazzling blue-purple electric arc burst out from above his fist, slamming right into the giant octopus. Whoosh! The giant octopus wailed bitterly, and its tentacles were broken by lightning, and even half of its body was scorched. Sure enough, I found out just now that this guy of yours has extremely poor resistance to lightning. It seems that this is your weakness. Mu Yun easily stepped on the thunder and lightning, stared at the octopus condescendingly, and said indifferently, I have learned a little about the trip of lightning. Let you see the power of science. As he spoke, a huge dark cloud had formed above Mu Yun's head. Positive and negative electrodes. Come. Boom. Boom. In an instant, thunder surged and arcs raged on, and the power of fury was almost comparable to the storm that was coming in the distance. Let's get carried away there. See good power. Please protect me. Boom. The giant octopus roared up to the sky, and a monstrous wave swept in. But its next move made Mu Yun almost laugh. I saw countless huge waves surrounding the giant octopus, forming a towering wall of water. Ha ha ha, this guy doesn't know that water conducts electricity. Let you cross the thunder calamity today. 9 days of thunder, 8 wastes in the town. Mu Yun drank slowly, and the heavens and the earth suddenly became darker. The wind is fierce, the thunder and lightning are staggered, and it looks like a doomsday scene. Boom. With a deafening sound, thunder and lightning poured down like a pouring rain, frantically smashing towards the wall of water. Poof. The terrifying electricity washed down the sea water into the body of the giant octopus. Its body began to smoke, and the whole person struggled painfully. I can't stand it. You're such a waste. Mu Yun sneered, continued to urge the thunder, and lowered the thunder punishment again and again. Boom. The thunder shook the sky, and the thunder and lightning roared, and raged like a mad dragon, and frantically bombarded the body of the giant octopus. Crackle. Boom. The giant octopus kept struggling, its body began to tremble, and the sound of its skin being torn kept coming. Abominable. Why can't the power of the sea god protect me? Chapter 227. Under the thunder, the giant octopus let out a wail, covered in scorched black. Mu Yun did not speak, he still controlled the heavenly thunder to chase and beat him. If it is targeted by the two in the eyes of the hurricane, the tide rushes to Jiangzhou, and the king level strength is not something that the current dragon court can fight against. Now only with the help of the 9th order crystal nucleus of the giant octopus, Mu Yun can break through to the 8th order, and there may be a glimmer of life. Taking advantage of this gap before the hurricane arrives, he must seize this opportunity. Crackle. Thunder shines, and each one is enough to turn people into ashes. The forces of nature are terrifying. The giant octopus finally couldn't hold on. It let out a desperate wail, and its huge body dived towards the deep sea. Mu Yun looked at the huge body. Want to run? Have you asked me? Leave it to me. Boom. Mu Yun waved his palm, and the thunder clouds in the sky continued to converge, and finally condensed into a terrifying thunderball with a diameter of more than 10 meters. This thunderball exuded extremely strong coercion, causing all the creatures in the radius to tremble. Human, presumptuous. A cold shout suddenly came from the center of the hurricane, and immediately after, an overwhelming spiritual coercion enveloped down. That feeling was like a mountain peak falling down fiercely, and even Mu Yun couldn't help but shake his heart, and his face turned pale. Go and die. Mu Yun ignored the loud shouts and smashed this terrifying thunderball towards the back of the giant octopus. Boom. The huge thunderball exploded instantly, and the devastating thunder raged and overturned the sand and rocks on the bottom of the sea. No. Wang, save me. A harsh scream resounded in the sky, and the giant octopus was blown up to the point of blood. Its body was constantly rolling, and the pitch black blood sprayed, poisoning the nearby sea. At this moment, the entire sea area was boiling, and countless sea creatures surfaced on the surface, panicking. The head of the giant octopus has disappeared, leaving only its huge body floating on the surface of the sea. Mu Yun gasped. The wave of consumption just now was really a bit serious. The water spout was already close at hand, and he didn't dare to stop for the slightest. Dragon Court, go. The longsword hummed, and flew above the octopus's corpse in an instant. roll up the 9th order spiritual energy crystal nucleus, as well as the special 7-colored strengthening stone, and quickly flee here with Mu Yun. Human, go away. Just as Mu Yun was about to escape, a cold and piercing voice came from a distance. Immediately after that, the huge spiritual power firmly locked Mu Yun. The terrifying tornado carried boundless tearing power, as if it wanted to pull Mu Yun back. Damn, what a force. Mu Yun's face changed drastically, and he hurriedly urged his mind to resist with all his strength. Oh. Suddenly, a Seagard trident penetrated from the center of the tornado and crashed into Mu Yun with unparalleled might. But the dragon court sword let out a violent sword groan and greeted the trident. Boom. The two forces collided. Mu Yun flew out upside down, and his body fell on the bottom reef. Ahem. A mouthful of bruised blood spit out. Mu Yun felt dizzy, and his internal organs were severely painful. What to do? Is it really going to be explained here? Mu Yun stood up with difficulty, his eyes scanning the surroundings. The hurricane blew across the sea, and countless fishmen were swept up in it along with the sea, tearing into pieces. It was as if the end had come, and it was a mess. Mu Yun's severely injured body was also swept by this gravity, constantly flying towards the eye of the wind. As he got closer and closer to the eye of the wind, Mu Yun saw the appearance of two of the figures. A strong Naga with a trident in her hand, and a snake woman who looks like Medusa. From their bodies, a monstrous killing intent was released, as if they wanted to devour Mu Yun. Human, you are the strongest I have ever seen, and although you killed one of my generals, King Ben still appreciates you very much. As long as you are willing to surrender to the sea god, I can forgive your sins. Snake G's tone was flat, but it gave people a condescending feeling. King, mankind and the sea tribe are old enemies. Why should we talk nonsense with him? Kill him quickly. The strong Naga roared angrily, and the trident in his hand bloomed with blue light, rushing towards Mu Yun with furious might. Bang! Mu Yun raised his sword to resist, and was slashed back far by this trident, and a large amount of blood spilled from the corner of his mouth. HMPH, human, you are too weak. Today I will grant you death. Just as Poseidon was about to continue his strike, Snake G stretched out his right arm to stop him. Poseidon, stop. We need more knowledge of the human world. This person is so powerful, he must have a position in the human world, and he has the intelligence we need. Maybe you can find the whereabouts of the goddess by his hand. Her voice was cold, with a hint of arrogance and contempt. Surrender to us, mankind, or today will be your time of death. Poseidon sneered, his eyes full of cruelty. Do you really think you've eaten me? Wiping the bloodstains at the corners of his mouth, Mu Yun sneered. I wonder if you've heard of what a big mushroom is. Huh. Snake G frowned slightly. She seemed to sense the danger and wanted to stay away from here immediately. Dongfeng Express, the mission will be achieved. Sent to you. I saw an express delivery 11 meters long and 1.4 meters in diameter appear out of thin air. Ha ha ha. You actually use this thing against us? Stupid guy, are you a fool? Poseidon laughed, thinking that the human in front of him was crazy. This long-barreled weapon is a little bigger, but that's it. He could destroy it with a lift of his hand. Not good. It's a human missile. Poseidon obviously does not have a deep knowledge of the human world, but Snakeheim is different. As the earliest creature to be enlightened by the sea god, the degree of wisdom is extremely high. Through learning, she knows what in the human world poses the greatest threat to the Sea Clan. If the Dongfeng 21 ICBM in front of them was detonated at such a close distance, even if their sea tribe was physically strong, they could not withstand the high temperature of that moment. Quick! Before she could remind. Boom. Huge mushrooms rose abruptly, obscuring half of the sky. The moment Mu Yun threw out the missile, he urged the energy in his body to quickly leave this place. But even if he moves quickly, such a close detonation is comparable to a hydrogen bomb, and the Dongfeng Express that can blow up the aircraft carrier. Obviously his small body cannot bear it. So, a treasure that had not been used for a long time was taken out by him. Come out, big black coffin. A heavy and simple black coffin appeared in front of Mu Yun's eyes, and he got into it without saying a word. The lid of the coffin is then firmly fixed to the coffin. Boom. But the sound of huge explosions was deafening, and huge waves surged. Chapter 228. A huge mushroom cloud rose above the sea, leveling everything within a radius of tens of kilometers nearby. The whole sea seemed to boil. The hurricanes and tornadoes that originally penetrated the heavens and the earth were ruthlessly destroyed in front of the mushroom cloud. Only waves of ki swept through between heaven and earth. The dark canopy was blown away, the clouds disappeared, and the sun reappeared. Boom. The seawater pours into it, setting off endless waves. A pitch black coffin was pushed by a huge wave and rolled towards the mainland, only to stop until it hit the reef. And Mu-Yun was lying in the black coffin. His face was pale, and the corners of his mouth were oozing blood. I leaned, almost finished playing. He thought with trepidation. Fortunately he was in a hurry, and remembered that he had ordered 10 Dongfeng Express before. This black coffin was brought back from the ruins at the bottom of Kyandao Lake before the end times. Originally, the unknown bones in the coffin had been buried, but the black coffin was retained by Mu-Yun because of its special material and incomparable sturdiness. I didn't think that this coffin was so awesome that even a large mushroom couldn't take it. It's good to keep you, otherwise it's over today. Mu-Yun rejoiced. Just now, death is approaching. It's so exciting. Pushing open the lid of the coffin, Mu-Yun climbed out of the coffin, stood on the reef and looked around, and found that there was no impact on this place. It should have been washed into some corner. I don't know what happened to Medusa and Poseidon. It would be better if they were blown up. Mu-Yun muttered 2 sentences and took out the smart bracelet to take a look. It's not far from the magic capital. Take a detour and go back. He made up his mind and was just about to get up. Suddenly, the footsteps suddenly stopped. The line of sight is fixed on the sea level ahead. Human, you damn it. A cold, emotionless murderous voice came. The naked Snake G stared at Mu-Yun coldly and was galloping from the sea with Poseidon. Lying groove. This is not dead. It looks like he has suffered some minor injuries. Gan. Mu-Yun cursed secretly, put away the black coffin, and galloped towards the East China Sea. According to Mu-Yun's original plan, he was planning to lure these 2 guys to the east. That's where Neon Country is located. If the framing went smoothly, Mu-Yun could be regarded as having done a glorious deed for the country. Human, you can't run away. Poseidon's voice came, with endless anger. The sea-god trident swung hard at the surface of the water, and a huge water column chased Mu-Yun at an astonishing speed, as if it was going to completely submerge him. Mu-Yun's body is almost exhausted now, and his body is seriously injured, so he does not dare to resist, so he can only dodge desperately. He quickly lifted off, and tried to get rid of the 2. As a result, the 2 did not know what means they used. The sky became cloudy again, and a small tornado took shape in an instant. The 2 were supported by the water spout, and followed closely behind, dead behind Mu-Yun. Seeing that he was about to be caught up, Mu-Yun's eyes flashed with essence, and he gritted his teeth and said, "Since you don't give Laotzu a way to live, then Laotzu you, and you fish dead nets. Go, big mushroom." Mu-Yun raised his right arm high, pointed to the water spout that was chasing behind him, and shouted. As soon as these words came out, a palpitation flashed in the eyes of Snake G and Poseidon, and the speed suddenly slowed down. And it was this instantaneous kung fu that Mu-Yun had already turned around and fled. "This kid lied to us, hurry up." Snake G immediately reacted and urged Poseidon to pursue quickly. The 2 quickly chased towards Mu-Yun and quickly closed the distance. It's really haunted and annoying. Mu-Yun held more than a dozen crystal nuclei in his hand, and while flying, he recovered his energy. But Snake G's speed was too fast, and the level gap between the 2 was too large, and Mu-Yun couldn't shake them off at all. If he hid in the small world at this moment, he would leave a spatial coordinate in the space that entered the small world, so as to let Mu-Yun go back and forth with the 2 places. However, existences with spatial powers or very strong spiritual powers can find the existence of coordinates. With the strength of both Snake G and Poseidon, he is definitely capable of finding and destroying the coordinates. At that time, whether Mu-Yun can come out of the small world is unknown. So he didn't dare to bet. Only by completely throwing off the 2 and finding a safe and secret place to enter the small world can you completely get rid of the danger. Seeing that these 2 people were chasing after each other, Mu-Yun spoke ruthlessly again. "Ha ha ha, you 2 idiots. Do you think you can catch up with Laotzu? Hearing this, the faces of the two became even more ugly, and they couldn't wait to tear Mu Yun apart. Art is an explosion. Go you. Mu Yun suddenly laughed, took out the missile, and threw it behind him. Snake G and Poseidon suddenly shrank their pupils, their faces changed suddenly, and they quickly stopped. Mu Yun's face was overjoyed when he saw this. Retract the missile, and continue to escape. Seeing this, Snake G and Poseidon turned livid, and the two were once again played. Damn humans, King Ben must slaughter you. Snake G cursed viciously, and then continued to chase Mu Yun, who flew away. In this way, Mu Yun used the two of them to throw rats at missiles along the way, constantly playing psychological warfare. But after a long time, his routine was seen through by Snake G. This time, she ordered Poseidon not to slow down in any way. Snake G concluded that at such a close distance, Mu Yun did not dare to directly detonate. Otherwise he himself will be affected. But this time Snake G guessed wrong. The energy in the body has recovered half of it, and using the deterrent power of missiles, it can slowly lure the two to the Neon Country. Mu Yun silently calculated the distance, time, and energy. After breaking through the 7th order, his domain scope skyrocketed again. The maximum opening radius is more than 3,000 meters. If you teleport 3,000 meters away at the moment of detonating the missile, and then hide in the black coffin at the fastest speed, it should be able to resist the power of the missile explosion. He still has 9 missiles in his hand, and if he plays slowly, there is definitely enough time. After figuring out the key, Mu Yun was determined in his heart. Seeing that the two caught up again, he took out the missile without saying a word. HMPH, human, do you think we will still be fooled? Poseidon mocked, not stagnating in the slightest, still pursuing. Idiot. Mu Yun glanced at him with disdain, and threw the missile directly. Ugh. With a maximum teleportation, Mu Yun's figure suddenly appeared 3,000 meters away. Immediately took out the black coffin and drilled in. Boom. Another mushroom cloud rose above the sea. The loud noise shook the entire air, and the terrifying flames and shockwaves vaporized the surrounding seawater, setting off monstrous waves. Magnificent. Ah. The two figures were caught off guard and flew out. King. Poof. Poseidon's eyes were quick, and he blocked in front of the Snake G, spitting out blood. The heat wave hit his face, and his back was scorched black. Seeing this, Snake G looked distressed, and a certain poisonous snake on his head spit snake letter and immediately bit Poseidon's neck. Eternal petrification. The next moment, Poseidon's body suddenly began to petrify. In this way, the damage caused to him by the flames was minimized. Bastard. Damn human. I'm going to crush you to ashes. Snake G stared venomously at the black coffin that was thrown away. His face was distorted, and his grey pupils flashed with this cold killing intent. Chapter 229. Poof. Serpentine fell into the sea with a stone statue of Poseidon to escape the heat of the explosion. After entering the water, Snake G released the poisonous snake that had bitten Poseidon. In the next second, the originally petrified Poseidon slowly returned to normal. SHHH. It hurts me. Poseidon covered his arm and said with a look of pain, "Are you alright?" Looking at his appearance, Snake G asked worriedly, "Don't worry, with our current flesh, we can't die yet." Poseidon shook his head, and new flesh had grown on his originally bloody back. Go. HMM. The two continued their journey, bound to catch up with the damn guy and tear it to scum. Meanwhile, in a black coffin, a violent shaking made Mu Yun inside a little dizzy, and it took a long time to calm down. When the outside world gradually calmed down, Mu Yun opened the lid of the coffin and saw that he was slowly sinking to the bottom of the sea. He quickly put away the black coffin and continued to flee towards the east. This time, he flew for about half an hour and found that Snake G and Poseidon behind him did not chase him, thinking that he had thrown off the two. Just as he was about to breathe a sigh of relief, he suddenly heard the sound of the sea tide under him. Immediately afterwards, countless water columns rose up into the sky, turning into cages to surround Mu Yun. Haha, it's been a long time for you. Human, your time to die has arrived. Snake G's cruel voice came from all around, and Mu Yun's face changed slightly. Unexpectedly, the two actually set up an ambush in advance, waiting for him to take the bait. Boom. At this moment, the sea surface exploded violently. Poseidon broke out of the water, and when he raised his hand, a strong stream of water sprayed towards Mu Yun. Mu Yun looked calm and disappeared in place with a teleportation. His abilities are special, and few people are generally able to keep him. If it weren't for the fact that he had consumed all the energy in his body in order to kill the giant octopus before, he would definitely not have been so embarrassed. After more than half an hour of recovery, he has recovered well. Even if caught up, he can use the ability to teleport to escape. No matter how bad it is, a big mushroom smashed over. Who is afraid of whom? I won't let you run again this time. Snake G's words fell, and a pair of turquoise snake pupils suddenly appeared in the grey-white eyes. In an instant, her gaze seemed to pass through many obstacles, and fell on Mu Yun. HMPH. Mu Yun only felt that his whole body was stiff, and his head was a little drowsy. The beautiful Kraken song sounded from the Snake G's mouth, and the invisible spiritual attack made his spirit a little trance. Turn into an eternal sculpture and seal it forever at the bottom of this abyss, lowly human being. Snake G said with a sneer, her eyes bursting with brilliant light. Just as the light was about to shine on Mu Yun's body, his figure suddenly disappeared. What's going on? Snake G's eyes widened in surprise. But in the next second, Mu Yun's figure appeared in place again. He did not dare to stay, and immediately used teleportation, and left the range of the water prison. Then it flew off into the distance. Why was he able to get rid of my psychic attack? Snake G muttered, feeling very puzzled. She is a king realm, surpassing the terrifying existence of the 10th order. It stands to reason that, as long as it is within her attack range, even opponents of the same level will be silenced by her Kraken song. The other party is just a 7th order human being. How is this done? Wang, let's hurry up and chase that guy. Poseidon urged anxiously. Oh, good. Although I don't understand, as long as I catch him, I will always figure it out. So, Snake G followed Poseidon and chased in the direction Mu Yun left. The other side. Cut. Laotzu's spiritual power is SSS level. If it weren't for the current realm, I would be the man who opened the spiritual power gene lock. A small spiritual attack can help me. Mu Yun's heart was dark. He was a little in a trance when he was attacked just now, but then he returned to normal. When the petrified light arrived, he didn't have time to mobilize the energy in his body to use teleportation, so he had to enter the small world to avoid the attack. After surviving the crisis without risk, Mu Yun let go of his heart. Now that he had figured out the general abilities of those two, it had become very simple to escape their pursuit. That Naga, named Poseidon, whose ability should be related to manipulating the weather, water control is just a derivative of his ability to use. Otherwise, it would be impossible to explain how previous hurricanes came. That Snake G, her ability should be petrified. As for the Kraken song, that confuses the enemy's mind and makes the opponent fall into illusions. It is very likely that it is some kind of talent of the race, or it may be the ability to have evolved from something. It's like Wanke. After eating the key fruit, he gained the ability to freely control the size of his body. It is likely that this is also the case with Snake G. The ability of the two to deal with others may be very tricky, but for Mu Yun, it seems average. When Snake G and Poseidon appeared behind Mu Yun again, he took out the missile with a relaxed expression. I thought that I could still scare off the two, but the angry two did not eat the set at all now. Then there was no way. Mu Yun had to move the real thing. Boom. A third mushroom cloud rose, and he quickly left the scene with a few teleportations. When the energy is abundant, there is no need for a black coffin to escape. But the power of the missile could not pose much threat to the two of Snake G, and could only delay the speed of the two of them catching up. For a while, the two parties fell into a cat and mouse state. I don't believe it, this guy still has nuclear bombs. Poseidon shouted unwillingly. Result. Boom. The fourth mushroom cloud. The fifth. Finally, when Mu Yun exhausted all the DF-21 ICBMs, a snowy mountain appeared on the sea ahead. Woohoo, it's finally here. When he saw the iconic volcano of the Neon Country, Mu Yun knew that he had arrived at his destination. Taking advantage of the fact that Snake G and Poseidon had not yet caught up, Mu Yun shouted behind him. Laotzu has arrived in his own territory. You will come. If you have the ability, Laotzu will not blow you up. Regardless of whether the other party heard it or not, Mu-Yun directly teleported infinitely, exhausting all the energy in his body. Come above the remaining base of the Neon Nation and throw your clothes into the opponent's base. The reason why they were able to chase after them for so long, Mu-Yun speculated, was either by virtue of smell or mental power locking. Anyway, don't care about 3721 first, leave the smell behind. Then he burrowed into the interior of Mount Fuji non-stop, made a hole in the rock wall of the crater, stuffed the black coffin into the hole, and lay himself in. After closing the lid of the coffin, he entered the small world. By the way, several drones were also left near the crater for surveillance. If something wrong, he can escape immediately, and the black coffin is strong enough to delay his escape. In this way, nothing goes wrong. Next, it's up to the creation of the Neon Kingdom. How to drop panties in the sky, still men's. Inside the base, a woman was hit on the head by her panties, and looked around with a puzzled face. No matter, there are no panties to wear, and no one sees that it is mine. After that, she tucked her pants into her arms and carefully returned to her dilapidated cabin. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 230. Kyoto, War Room. Report sir, we detected a high energy reaction in our country's coastal areas, and it was inferred that it was caused by the explosion of a large missile or nuclear weapon. A staff member switched the screen from the large screen to a map and reported to a group of leaders behind him. Kinyu and Li Yi stood beside Qin Xianming, their eyes staring at the picture on the monitor. This direction seems to be Neon Country, Kinyu muttered, looking at the path of the explosion shown on the map. Taken the satellite footage and see what happened before. Qin Xianming immediately ordered. Yes. Soon, the picture was brought up. First, a huge typhoon eye appeared along the coastline of the magic capital, then thunderclouds, followed by a mushroom cloud. When the clouds cleared, the sea was a mess, leaving only a huge octopus carcass floating on the surface. That ninth order giant octopus is dead. Li Yi let out an exclamation. Well, from the thermal induction, it is indeed a loss of vital signs. An officer nodded. How is it possible? This is the culprit who destroyed the demon capital base. Who did it? Could it be that the nuclear bomb killed it just now? The previous nuclear bomb didn't kill this monster, and the shape of the mushroom cloud should be just a hydrogen bomb, which makes no sense. Has the military district given an order to launch a hydrogen bomb? No. Who did that? No matter who did it, being able to kill this monster anyway means a lot to Ahua Kingdom. This is the ninth order. I really dare not imagine. The contents of the picture caused an uproar throughout the hall. Kinyu fell into deep thought. Zio, what did you think of? Noticing his grandson's abnormal expression, Qin Xianming asked. I think this matter may have something to do with the Dragon Court. Oh. Qin Xianming looked at Kinyu with interest and motioned for him to continue. First of all, Jiangzhou is very close to the magic capital, and in order to avoid the impact of the sea tide on the base, Mu-Yun will definitely make countermeasures. And the strongest near the magic capital is only the Dragon Court. Most of our bases are evacuating inland. It is impossible to participate in this kind of thing. So inferred, the Dragon Court base is the most likely. Of course, there is the most important point. Mu-Yun has a large number of thermal weapons, although it is not clear how he got them, but since he has so many weapons, 2 more large missiles can also be said in the past. Kinyu spoke eloquently, saying all his guesses. Everyone else was listening carefully and secretly remembered Kinyu's words. Well, you have a point. Qin Xianming nodded and gave his baby grandson an appreciative look. Sir, found it. It was indeed Mu-Yun's doing. In addition, there are new discoveries. The soldier zoomed in on the satellite screen and saw an image of Mu-Yun being chased by 2 figures. After that, the pictures of Mu-Yun using the Dongfeng 21 intercontinental ballistic missile to bomb Snake G and Poseidon were also released one by one. DF-21 ICBM. How can this guy have weapons from our military? Zhang Wenkai recognized the signal of the missile in the picture at a glance. This is a unique missile of China. Except for a few friendly countries sold at a high price, the rest is all in the hands of the Chinese military. Seeing this, Yang Yi's eyes showed a trace of cruelty. Let's not talk about the issue of missiles. The two monsters chasing Mu Yan are the focus. The power comparable to a hydrogen bomb turned out to be unscathed to them. Where did such a monster come from? Yang Yi's words successfully diverted everyone's attention, and all eyes were focused on the two terrifying creatures in the satellite picture. This is definitely beyond the existence of a giant octopus, at least a 10th order creature. Not only that, the 10th order beast king that appeared in Shenanjia was more than one step weaker than them. That was an existence beyond the 10th order. SHHHH, isn't that the same existence as those beast emperors? The problem of the beast tide has not been solved, and I can't imagine that two sea emperors will emerge from the sea tide. Everyone was talking, analyzing their own views. Zhao Wenbin, what's going on over there in Shenanjia? Qin Qianming asked his right-hand man. Report, sir, because the Academy of Sciences God-making plan is progressing well. The defense line of the beast tide is temporarily held. Although the sacrifice is still great, the speed of improvement of the Dragon Group is also very amazing. As things stand, as long as the logistics can keep up, there is not much problem. Zhao Wenbin saluted and replied. Hearing this, Qin Qianming breathed a sigh of relief. Do you think it is feasible to let the Dragon Group take some people to resist the tide? For a moment, everyone present was talking again. A large part of the reason why there is no large-scale beast tide in China now is that the army of mutant beasts has been slowed down by the government's army. Shenanjia is the most extensive jungle area in China, rich in vegetation and fertile land. There are countless wildlife. The impact of the green tide on Shenanjia is the largest in China, and the number of devil fruits produced in it is extremely terrifying. This also created that the strength of the mutant beasts in it also increased. Half of Huaxa's army is resisting the beast tide in Shenanjia, which is why the major military bases are short of manpower and weapons. That's the biggest reason. Many times the beast tide almost broke through the defense line. In that case, most of the Chinese country would be invaded by the beast tide, and the consequences were unimaginable. In desperation, the military used nuclear bombs, which stopped the pace of the beast tide. But the appearance of extreme cold gave the beast race a chance to breathe, and after a month of improvement, the beast tide returned. Chapter 231. Thanks to the God-making program proposed by the Academy of Sciences, focus resources on individuals, creating superpowers that can fight against 10,000. Concentrate most of the crystal nuclei obtained by the national base in Black Rain. In this extremely cold month, Hua Jiuo successfully cultivated 108th order powerhouses. Most of them are special abilities, and their strength is terrifying. There are also tens of thousands of 6th order or more powers, and these people have become the backbone of resisting the beast tide. However, the price is also very large, and all the crystal nuclei obtained by the Black Rain are consumed. However, the good news is that the crystal nuclei obtained after killing the beast tide are not few. This is just like Mu Yan took the women to clean the coastline before, and the income of the crystal nucleus is quite considerable. The treasury is slowly filling, and the crystal nucleus is beginning to feed back to the fighters of the major base cities. Even this white fruit is not enough now, and food is beginning to become scarce. If Mu Yan hadn't saved Suya, the cash cow, he would have faced such a dilemma. In the last days, food is the real core material. Chief, this is demolishing the eastern wall to make up for the western wall. It is not advisable. Although the tide is also a great threat, the research of the Academy of Sciences shows that those fishman monsters cannot leave the water for too long, which restricts the actions of the other party, and we can completely adopt the strategy of the enemy advancing and retreating, and the enemy retreating and me advancing. Marshal Zhang is right, we can retreat inland in the face of the sea tide, but once the beast tide is lost, we will have no way to retreat. I reconsider. In the face of Qin Qianming's decision, everyone present continued to raise objections. Wenbin, what do you think? In the end, Qin Qianming turned his gaze to his right arm Zhao Wenbin. Zhao Wenbin had followed this leader for so many years, and he saw many things from Qin Qianming's eyes. After thinking for a moment, he knew how to answer. Chief, my subordinates feel that we cannot let the problem of the sea tide go alone, even if it is to retreat inland. Those survivor bases also need to migrate, and there are many corpses and mutant beasts encountered along the way, and the sacrificed warriors and survivors are definitely a terrifying number. But the troops resisting the beast tide, we can't move at will. Although we have temporarily gained some upper hand at present, it is because the Beast Emperor is afraid of our nuclear bombs, so he did not act rashly. Now the attack of the Beast Tide may just be the other party's temptation, and once the Beast Emperor really strikes, it is likely to be a thunderous blow. Therefore, the Dragon Group must not be withdrawn. According to the subordinates, we need to find a way to deal with the sea tide, but we can't think of a way from the troops defending against the beast tide, and we have to find another way. As soon as Zhao Wenbin's words came out, everyone else was absolutely very reasonable. The tide is like a ticking time bomb, and if they don't want to deal with it, sooner or later something will happen. Qin Shianming glanced at Zhao Wenbin meaningfully and nodded with satisfaction. Qin Yu on the side looked at his grandfather and Uncle Zhao looking back and forth. As smart as he immediately figured out many things. So he cooperated and asked. Since Uncle Zhao felt that he had to find another way to deal with the sea tide, I don't know if there are any good suggestions. As soon as Qin Yu's words came out, the eyes of the people around him suddenly fell on Zhao Wenbin's body. There are two ways. First, China's coastline is very vast, and there are many coastal cities, but only about 50% of the base cities controlled by our government are located. The remaining 50% of the base city is a force to deal with the sea tide. Speaking of this, everyone frowned. Most of the base cities that are not controlled by the central government are formed by unscrupulous element. The base is full of smoke, and the strong control the life and death of others at will. Without legal and moral constraints, countless human tragedies have occurred. Ordinary survivors were treated like cattle, inhumane, and civilization collapsed. However, because of the dictatorship, those rulers in high positions often become high-level superpowers one by scraping a lot of resources. Even if the Chinese government wants to intervene in management, it has become powerless. Such a group of people, let them go to deal with the sea tide. Almost impossible. Unless there are enough benefits. General Zhao, I don't know how you want to implement this method. They are not our military. They will cooperate with the central government's instructions and unconditionally obey. Yang Yi's words resonated with everyone. This is not to talk about the second way. Speaking of this, you may need Elder Yang's help. Hearing this, Yang Yi's face sank slightly. What do you mean, kid? Now the situation in the inland is relatively stable. Most of Yang Leo's troops are concentrated in the interior, and the current situation can be completely transferred from the north to the south. By the way, there can also be enough manpower to rectify the lawless base city. It's the best of both worlds. Zhao Wenbin said with a smile. His words made Yang Yi fall into thought, and the others were also whispering. Qin Shianming watched all this silently on the side. Haha, Zhao Wenbin, you kid is so bad. Even I dare to pit this bad old man. In the middle of a ring, Yang Yi suddenly laughed. Zhao Wenbin smiled. Everywhere, it's all for the peace of the country. Okay, then do as you say. I will send some of my manpower to the coastal cities in the west, and the eastern ones will be left to Liaozang. As soon as this remark came out, everyone was shocked. No one expected that Yang Yi would agree so easily. Everyone, go ahead, time is urgent, I will go and give the order. Ignoring the shocked gazes of the others, Yang Yi left the war room with a smile. But when he left the door of the war room, the smile on his face suddenly dissipated, and he became gloomy as water. The reason why he agreed just now was because he knew the general trend, and he couldn't refuse. Simply retreat into progress, directly and cheerfully agreed. Then he threw the worst hit East Coast to Zhang Wenke, who saved his life. And Zhao Wenbin is right about what he said. That is to be able to govern the lawless base city, by the way. That's a lot of stuff. Useless survivors can serve as cannon fodder, useful survivors, and powerful superpowers to recruit their men. And the material in the base, all confiscated. Although the risk is large, the profit is not a small amount. As the contemporary head of the Yang family, Yang Yi still has this vision. In the war room, Qin Shianming looked at his departing back, his eyes full of deep meaning. Grandpa, this guy promised too cheerfully. Kinyu was a little puzzled. This old fox is shrewd, you will understand later. Qin Shianming smiled lightly and did not explain anything. Sir, those two sea emperors were lured to the Neon Country by Mu Yun, and now the last Tokyo-based city of the Neon Country is encountering the fierce attack of the sea tide. Kinyu just wanted to ask something more when a soldier's voice suddenly came from his ears. What? And this kind of good thing. Chapter 232. The people in the war room were stunned by this news, and they looked excited. This one named Mu Yun originally looked quite unpleasant, but today I suddenly found that this young man is really good. I'm very optimistic about this kid, and I have to invite my troops for tea when I have the opportunity. Ahem. All restrained, one by one, like something. Qin Shianming reprimanded, and then the war room returned to quiet. Luring the two sea emperors out of our country's waters, this Mu Yun has indeed done a good thing for our country, to benefit the country and the people, and we can have more contact in the future. Qin Shianming quietly praised. It's just that with the current situation of the Neon Country, it is estimated that it will not be able to resist for long, and we also need to prepare as soon as possible. Yes, sir. In the war room, several officers got up at the same time to take orders. If only I could lead the Sea Emperor to the point of beauty. Hearing Qin Shianming's muttering, everyone present rolled their eyes. It turns out that you are the worst one. Xiao, let's see if you can contact the other party to discuss. If you need our assistance, we will absolutely fully cooperate. Hearing this, Kinyu's eyes lit up. Understood, Grandpa, I'll go. After that, he pulled Li Yi out of the war room one by one. The other side. Neon Country, Tokyo-based city. Lord Abe, the attack of the sea beast is becoming more and more ferocious, and if it continues like this, our base is likely to not be able to hold it. On the city wall, the Prime Minister of the Neon Country, Shinji Abe, frowned. He didn't understand why the sea beasts suddenly attacked their base city like crazy. You know, in order to protect this last pure land, they had to use nuclear weapons and blow up the surrounding seas. It can be said that a large number of fish people in the surrounding sea area have been eliminated, and only some remnants remain, and there is nothing to worry about. But now, the number of sea beasts is more terrifying than before. Even some huge sea monsters have appeared. They crawl out of the bottom of the sea, carrying with them the breath of destruction. Your Excellency Abe, His Majesty the Emperor said that this disaster may have been caused by those two strange creatures on the sea. A black-clad ninja suddenly appeared and pointed to Snake Hyman Poseidon in the distance and said, "Did the Emperor-sama say a solution?" Shinji Abe was shocked in his heart and hurriedly asked, "His Majesty the Emperor asked you to hold on for 3 days first. The Lord is breaking through the 10th order with all his strength, and you can use nuclear weapons at any time if necessary." 10th order? Hearing this realm, Shinji Abe trembled. Yes. The black-clothed ninja nodded solemnly and said solemnly, "Your Excellency Abe, rest assured, the sea beasts are nothing in the eyes of the Emperor, and the Neon Country will win." Shinji Abe breathed a sigh of relief. "I know. You go back and tell His Majesty the Emperor. I will definitely do my best. Hi, I wish Your Excellency, Wuan Changlang." The black-clad ninja bowed respectfully and left. After the black-clad ninja left, Shinji Abe immediately found the adjutant in charge of the fortifications. "Your Excellency, Adjutant, how much do we have in stockpile of nuclear weapons?" "Lord Abe, there are about 50 more, and the scientific research department is still making them overnight. Inform down and put nuclear weapons on alert for launch." The adjutant's face was full of doubts, but he did not dare to disobey the order, and left in a hurry. As a defeated country, the Neon Nation does not have nuclear weapons. But they are very developed in nuclear industry technology, and they have been secretly developing it all these years. After the end of the world, it has become more upright, so the reserves are still quite abundant. Looking at the dense army of fishmen outside the city wall, Shinji Abe's face was full of anger. Long live the Emperor, the Neon Country will win. There was a roar from the city walls. These were the confident cries of the soldiers. Under the rendering of this atmosphere, some people even dropped their machine guns and drew their katanas at their waist. Whoa, he jumped off the wall, rushed into the monster pile, and fought to the death. 8 quacks rode. Shinji Abe couldn't help but burst into foul language. On the sea, Snake G and Poseidon stood on the back of a large sea turtle, looking at the battlefield ahead with a gloomy face. Why don't we just flood here? Wouldn't it be much easier? Poseidon somewhat did not understand Snake G's thoughts. The breath of that human brat is here, and this is said to be the country of that human being. Is it not good to directly destroy it in one breath? You think too simply. Although human beings are weak, their scientific and technological means are very powerful, especially nuclear bombs, which are extremely powerful. According to the information I got from the Oracle, the nuclear bomb thrown by that kid is only one of the less powerful, and they have more powerful weapons. Since this is that kid's country, there must be something so powerful that we have to guard against it. Since that human did not continue to flee, it means that this country is very important to him. As long as he captures this place, we can use this threat to make him obedient. Otherwise, with his strange ability, we can't take it. Snake G squinted her eyes, slowly analyzed, and said it head on. Poseidon suddenly realized that he finally understood why people could become kings. That's the power of wisdom. That's the pattern. So we just need to consume each other's nuclear weapons through the army of fishmen, and when they run out, everyone here will become lambs to be slaughtered, and we can take it at will. Yes, that's it. Inside a small world. After Mu-Yun entered the small world, the first thing he did was to quickly restore the energy in his body. If the two snakes find the place where he is hiding, they can quickly escape. After more than half an hour, Mu-Yun returned his state to his peak. Taking out the remote control of the drone, he controlled the drone and flew towards the coastline. The small world and the outside world are interconnected. Otherwise, without spiritual energy, the sacred tree in the center of the small world in the blood cocoon under the tree will have no energy source. Green jade is a bridge between two worlds. Whether it is time, air, signal, etc., can be connected. Mu-Yun saw the army of fishmen attacking the city in the display screen, and the 100-meter high steel city wall was full of superpowers and self-defense troops. Countless powers, bullets, and cannonballs rained down on the crowd of fish below. A large number of fishmen fell, but many more threw themselves on the city wall fearlessly. Fortunately, the city wall is strong enough and high enough, and for a while, the army of fish people will not be able to help the people of the Neon Country. It's just that with the accumulation of corpses, the city wall is being filled by fishmen little by little. Looking at this scene, Mu-Yun was happy. Woohoo, it seems that the plan is going well. Chapter 233. Through the picture, transmitted by the drone, Mu-Yun saw the Snake G and Poseidon standing on the sea. Seeing that the two did not mean to attack, Mu-Yun relaxed a lot. Judging from the current situation, I'm still safe. Taking advantage of this gap, I have to hurry up and break through. Looking at the top of the crystal nucleus mountain, the dazzling 9th order spiritual energy crystal nucleus, Mu-Yun was determined in his heart. Before cultivating, the small world that had not been taken care of for a long time brought him a huge surprise. The vast vegetable field in the south is full of greenery. I don't know if it is because of the influence of spiritual energy or the relationship between the small world itself. The first crops planted have matured. Half was left as seeds, and the rest was harvested by Mu-Yun. In the end, more than 5,000 catters of vegetables were obtained. But these vegetables are just the tip of the iceberg in the South Vegetable Garden. There are more ice, wheat, and vegetables that are still in the growing stage, at least 100 times larger than this harvest. After watering the garden, he came to the orchard forest to the north. The apple, peach and pear trees in the forest had long been covered with ripe fruits, which makes people salivate. The size of fruit trees is not large at present, and fruit trees grow slowly. Mu-Yun, the ripe fruit, used it all as seeds, planted a circle around the small forest, and then consumed the energy in his body to spawn it. After a spring rain, countless branches broke through the ground. When most of the energy in Mu-Yun's body was consumed, the fruit tree had grown to 2 meters tall. Take back the ability, and let the rest grow on their own. He can't pollinate the flowers of the fruit, and the ability to produce naturally can't make the fruit bear fruit. Now there is no pollination by insects such as bees, and only natural wind can be relied on to disperse pollen. Slow is slower, but the small world is just beginning, not in a hurry. After doing this, Mu-Yun came to the ecological park in the northeast direction. The livestock are doing well, they are herbivores, and the grass on the ground grows rapidly because the land is fertile. Mu-Yun didn't have to keep watching, just let them eat some grass. But in order to achieve balanced nutrition, Mu-Yun very luxuriously threw some of the vegetables he had just picked to these chickens, ducks, cows, and sheep. There were dozens of extra eggs in the greenhouse of chickens, ducks, and geese. Obviously, they understood Mu-Yun's thoughts very well, and could work hard every day. It is estimated that it will not be long before the number of these chickens, ducks, and geese will skyrocket. If Mu-Yun has alpacas, there are now a total of 6 in his hands, 3 males and 3 females. 2 of the ewes were pregnant. Dude, you have to come on, learn from your 2 neighbors, and if you have nothing to do at night with your wife Kingjing. A certain alpaca in the large sheepfold rolled his eyes at Mu-Yun, as if to say, speak lightly, you can do it. Come on, I'm optimistic about you. Leaving this sentence, Mu-Yun came to the cowshed next door. There are 5 in total, 3 males and 2 females. Originally, it should have been 3 males and 3 females, but Jiangming was hungry and ate one of the females. Poor old bull, who has since become a single cow. The 2 calf cubs did not know what was going on, but they were able to chew the grass on their ground and get rid of the dilemma that they could only drink milk. Oh, it's good. How did you 2 brats grow up? Teach other little cowboys more in the future. Mu-Yun squatted down and patted the head of one of the calves. Little cowboy, try the feeling of not having anything to eat for 3 days. Don't say it, Jesus will eat it for you. Ignoring the little cowboy's resentful eyes, Mu-Yun came to the pond. Another windfall. The number of fish in the pond has skyrocketed from 100 to 500. It's time to put it back into the river. The pond is now a bit crowded and unsuitable for fish. As soon as his mind moved, the fish in the pond appeared in the small lake next to the sea of flowers in the west. The water is crystal clear, flowing from the mountains in the east, and the water is rich in microorganisms. Coupled with a lotus flower that Mu-Yun casually planted before, the nutrients and food in the water were enough for this group of fish to survive. Dara. Gunma passed by a sea of flowers and galloped freely across the grasslands. These horses Mu-Yun did not set up stables and other places, and the grass was originally the most suitable environment for their survival. Mu-Yun didn't bother to deal with them, and went with them. After doing this, Mu-Yun came to the pigsty that gave him the most headache at present. The pigsty is not in the ecosphere, and because there are more than 30 animals, the biosphere cannot be put at all. So Mu-Yun just casually built a huge pigsty on the grassland and let them move freely. Domestic pigs are omnivores, and they will eat grass, but this group of guys eats too much, and the grass in the pen is not enough for them. And these days, there are a few more piglets in the pen, and the growth rate of grass is even more unable to keep up. How to let this group of guys survive by themselves has become Mu-Yun's current problem. If the scope of the pigsty is expanded, the problem of food can be solved, but the chance of farrowing will be reduced. The map is too big for my wife to find. After Mu-Yun fed this group of guys a bunch of vegetables, as well as sweet potatoes, and other foods, he temporarily expanded the pigsty a little. Let's do this for now, and deal with these guys when you're done with the things at hand. Keeping this matter in mind, Mu-Yun came to the bottom of the holy tree, and prepared to begin absorbing the 9th order crystal nucleus. However, at this moment, his mobile phone received a text message from Kinyu. Arthur handed over the paper. Mu-Yun actually lured the Sea Emperor to Zio-Ri of the territory. My generation model, 66,666. Cucumber is not a melon. Your guy is quite well informed. Arthur hands the paper. Where are you now? Need help? Cucumber is not a melon. Nothing to offer. Let's say, what's the matter? My time is precious now, so let's get straight to the point. Arthur delivers paper. Ahem. Well, let me help ask if these 2 Sea Emperors can lure them to the United States. It is estimated that the Neon country will not last long, and it is so close to the sea area of our country. It is better to send it directly to the United States and let them drag each other's pace. Of course, if there are any difficulties that can be mentioned, we will fully cooperate, but if it is not possible, then forget it. I'm just here to ask your opinion. Cucumber is not a melon. Oh, you really dare to think that it would be good to lure me to the neon country? Let me cross the Pacific Ocean to the United States. You think I'm really omnipotent under the gods? Arthur handed over the paper. Too. Then you look at it. But what you did this time can be regarded as saving countless survivors in China. If you have any needs, you can ask me to mention. We will try to meet them. It can be regarded as a reward for you. Cucumber is not a melon. Since you said so, then I'm welcome. Cucumbers are not melons. I want all the animals, plants and seeds you have on your hands. Arthur handed over the paper. Depend. I'm asking you to make a request, not a wish. Laotzu is not a magic lamp. Chapter 234. Cucumber is not a melon. Those things are useless if you keep them, so you might as well give them to me. Arthur handed over the paper. You don't understand. Plants are fine, but those animals are one of the few animals in the world that has not changed, and the Academy of Sciences needs them to do research, and those old stubborn easily refuse to let go. Arthur handed over the paper. Speaking of which, haven't you already obtained the ecological garden of the pangolin boss? Why do you need so many animals and plants? Looking at the news sent by Kinyu, Muyun fell into deep thought. Now the situation in the whole world is grim, and with the strength of Muyun in the Dragon Court, it is currently impossible to turn the tide. Humans lack time for development. In less than 3 months, a sea beast in the realm of the king has already appeared, and the progress of the end of this life is too fast. There is no respite. This is all due to the butterfly dance effect caused by the change in the order of natural disasters. If the Dragon Court can unite with the Chinese official, then it may be able to change the current situation of passive beating. He didn't know if he should reveal the news of the small world. Take advantage of official resources and the peculiarities of your own small world so that you can produce countless foods. Once the food problem is solved, the overall improvement speed of China will be rapid. But Muyun thought about it carefully again and felt that it was still inappropriate. Only when his status is high enough to negotiate terms with the official on an equal footing. Choosing cooperation is a win-win situation. The current Dragon Court can't enter the other party's eyes, and if you unite, you will be subject to others, so it's better to think of other ways to be safe. Cucumber is not a melon. Okay, I want as many plants and seeds. If you go to fight for the animal, and if you have cubs in the future, I will give you back to you. Free breeder, you don't lose. Cucumber is not a melon. If this is not possible, then bother to exchange the reward for various strategic materials such as alloys, steel, and fuel. Cucumber is not a melon. If the above 3 can be satisfied, I can consider luring Snake G and Poseidon to the United States. You guys think about it. Cucumber is not a melon. By the way, remind you, Neon Country can't last long. You don't have much time. Arthur handed over the paper. You're really a lion. Cucumber is not a melon. The decision is in your hands, and I'm a part-time worker. Arthur handed over the paper. Oh, I'm going to figure it out. Cucumbers are not melons. Come on. Arthur handed over the paper. Ending the conversation with Kinyu, Muyun grabbed the 9th order crystal nucleus and began to attack the 8th order psychic. Fortunately, most of the white fruit muon spawned by Suya was carried with him, so there was no need to worry about nutrition. On the other side, the Dragon Court base. When Wan K returned to the base with everyone, Sister Lan, who received the news, immediately recalled Niu Daseong and the others who were collecting the survivors outside. At the entrance to the base, a large number of survivors who had fled lined up for registration checks. Come one by one, don't squeeze, don't panic. Zhang Di was sent to maintain order, and Fu also brought a group of logisticians to do identity registration. Above the city wall, Shen Liang looked into the distance. Finding that a large number of survivors were still coming, he couldn't help but frown. If this continues, even our base will not be able to accommodate such a large population. Shen Liang murmured. Although the Dragon Court base was built on a large scale, it could accommodate a maximum of 500,000 people. As it stands, it will be saturated in a few days. Areas C and D outside the city are crowded, and the appearance of a large number of supernatural beings is bound to cause chaos to the base. Zhao Yi and Niu Dazliang's escort and combat team acted as city managers at this moment and began to maintain order. Without Jihan Niu's overall planning, Sister Lan was busy at the moment. Inside the office, Sister Lan rubbed her head and looked at the thick documents on the desktop. The heads of various departments come in and out and report on the situation. The rapid increase in population has led to many problems that need to be solved, but it will not be an overpass task. Now that she is the only decision maker left in the base, she must cheer up and not make any mistakes. Sister Lan, something happened outside. Suddenly, the secretary ran over. Don't panic, the sky hasn't fallen yet, calm down, what's going on outside? Sister Lan took a deep breath and calmed herself down. This, you better see for yourself. The secretary hesitated for a moment. Well, lead the way. Sister Lan put down her pen and got up to leave the office. Area B, Commercial Street. Boss, this place is good, much more imposing than our previous base. Fatty Zhao patted the horses, but with a smile, looking at the luxuriously decorated shop in front of him, and secretly praised it in his heart. It's like before the end of the world. People come and go. It's prosperous. Coupled with the hot weather, the women walking on the street dressed coolly. The girl who mixed well was also wearing black silk, fishing nets, and white silk, which attracted the side eyes of others. In the B area of the base is absolutely safe. No one dares to make trouble, and women who love beauty by nature one can show their demeanor unscrupulously. But these new additions are not clear. Just like the man that Fatty Zhao complimented as the ruler of a certain base, in his base, the wind will be rainy. Beautiful women will only be reduced to his playthings. There were not 1,000 women who were played to death by him, but also 800, or even more. But all the women who followed him were tortured to death by him, and this man liked to be tortured, and the more miserable the other party, the more excited he was. If it weren't for the tide that was about to reach his base, he could continue to enjoy his tyranny and no one could stop him. Unfortunately, now that the waves have hit, he has to flee with his men and all the supplies in the base. Soon, this place will belong to us. The man's face was gloomy, but his eyes were shining with lewdness, constantly scanning the beautiful women around him. The boss is mighty and domineering. Our axe gang is a powerful person, and the boss is a terrifying 6th order powerhouse, who dares to oppose us, and directly kill him. Fatty Zhao leaned over with a grin, looking like a servant. Hearing the praise of his subordinates, Tiger smiled contemptuously, and his strong strength made him extremely confident. Just now, through observation along the way, he found that, although this base was guarded a lot, they were all 3rd and 4th order superpowers. As long as no high-level supernatural appeared, his 6th order was the strongest. With such a prosperous base, only his axe gang boss, Tiger, is worthy of domination. After coming to the shopping street, this idea is infinitely magnified. Looking at the beautiful women around him, Tiger couldn't wait. Just as he was about to lead his men and begin to capture the base from the commercial street, a silhouette appeared at the other end of the commercial street. Tiger's eyes immediately straightened, and he swallowed. Brothers, take her down for Laotzu. This woman Tiger is going to decide. Chapter 235. Tiger ordered with a roar, and behind him, more than 50 little minions were about to move. This woman is simply beautiful. The face of an angel, the figure of a devil. On the long white legs are 2 pairs of stockings, one black and one white, with a nurse's uniform symbolizing an angel. It was as if the heavenly fairy descended on mortal dust, was seduced by the fireworks of the world, and decided to stay in this billowing red dust and sink. Angels and demons, purity, and lust. Under the strong contrast of the two, people can't stop. Ji Xiaoning heard the movement on Tiger's side, and his gaze fell on this group of people who did not know whether they were dead or alive. Seeing the heat in the eyes of this group of people, she frowned with some disgust. Zhang Di at the gate of the city sent a message to the hospital, saying that there were many wounded people fleeing, there were not enough manpower, and there was no time to carry them to the hospital, and they were all blocked at the door, which had already affected the speed of registration. So wanted her to come over and help. With her nanny, a treatment is all done, and the efficiency will be much faster. Walking from A to the city gate will pass through Zone B, and you will be entangled in this gang of scraps. then they can only be blamed for their bad luck. G-Zioning is a well-known poisonous scorpion heart in the base. Don't look like a harmless angel who looks like humans and animals, but his heart is actually black. As long as it entered her outpatient room, she was absolutely squeezed out when she came out. Of course, this is talking about points. Up. Tonight brothers take turns to play. Cool to turn the sky. Tiger waved his fist excitedly. A cold gleam flashed under G-Zioning's eyes, and a devilish smile rose at the corner of his mouth. This group of scum dares to covet her and look for death. Tiger waved his hand and ordered. The little brother behind him couldn't wait, and after hearing Tiger's order, he rushed up. In an instant, pedestrians throughout the street avoided. I dared to make trouble in the base. This group of people don't want to live? A passerby watched this scene in surprise. Who says it isn't? The other companion nodded in agreement. You see, this group is going to be unlucky. Gee, what a group of people who are not afraid of death. And it's still Dr. G who provokes. I guess this group of people won't survive tonight. Everyone was talking. Even the women hiding in the shop couldn't help but poke out half of their heads. All of them were the lords who looked at the excitement. The second floor of the hotel. Oh, Black Bear, you really guessed right. This is the next day there is a fool to do it. Smoking a cigar, the Blood Wolf sat by the window watching the commotion below. After all, in the chaotic world, there are all kinds of brain damage. The Black Bear did not lift its head and continued to eat the delicious food on the table. It's still delicious here. None of my subordinates can burn such a delicacy. It's either burnt or paste, and the special ladies are a waste. By the way, you don't look at how expensive the food here is. A plate of fried greens costs 300 points, which is enough for me to cultivate 3/3 order superpowers. Well, this meal is your treat anyway. Don't slaughter white. Haha. In the other corner of the hotel, the people of the Wild Lion are also paying attention to the situation below. However, at their table was also a mysterious man in a black robe with his face covered. Berserk Lion. Some forces that can't sit still have appeared. There will only be more in the future. You are ready. The man's faint voice came out, with an icy coldness in his tone, which made people feel like falling into an abyss. When the Mad Lion heard this, his pupils contracted, and his heart suddenly trembled. He immediately collected his mind and replied respectfully, "Don't worry, my lord, my subordinates are always ready. HMM." Soon, the man in black disappeared in place, unnoticed by anyone. The 5th floor of the Phoenix building opposite the hotel, in the cute box. Fire Dance was holding the cute little lolly for a while, and even buried it in her arms. The milk is full of flavor and very full, but it almost suffocates Rumeng. HMM. Thank wo. Medicine for spicy little lolly struggled desperately, but unfortunately the disparity in strength was huge, and it was useless. The Fire Dance seems to have a lot of fun, and will be like a dead death suppressed by Mo. Oh, my little darling, don't shout, let my sister hug again. Although it costs 10,000 points to come to the Phoenix Tower box, but Fire Dance can't put it down for Umeng. Isn't it just to spend a 5th order superpower? What a big deal. Little Lori was strangled breathlessly. She was in tears, and she was about to cry. Woo. Jiuu. Fire Dance smiled evilly and slapped on the cute little lolly meat's butt, snapping with a crisp sound. Big sister, don't play. There is movement below. Hong Yu on the side suddenly stood up and pointed out the window and said, "What's wrong?" Fire Dance stopped bullying Rumeng and turned to walk to the window. Looking down through the glass, I saw that the melee below was a mess. Rumeng, who was finally liberated, also tiptoed and looked at the street below. It's Sister G. Rumeng recognized the person surrounded at a glance. After all, at the training ground at that time, every injury was treated by G-Zioning after each injury. Seeing that G-Zioning was in danger, she immediately sent a signal to the other 8 sequences. Above the street, with Tiger's order, a group of people quickly surrounded G-Zioning. Little chick, how to call it, this base will immediately be our axe gang, and follow the master in the future, which will make you a human being. Tiger stretched out his dog's paw towards G-Zioning with an evil smile. Giggle, the little woman's name is G-Zioning, and she is the nurse of this base. G-Zioning chuckled, and quietly dodged Tiger's salty pig hand. Looking at her charming appearance, Tiger's heart pounded. Hey, nurse, I like it. Tiger rubbed his hands, smiled lewdly, and approached step by step. Does the nurse sister have time? My lower body has a little problem. See if you can help me solve it? Watching Tiger get closer and closer, Ji's ironing revealed a sly smile. In this way, it is better to cut it to eternal rule. When the words fell, Ji's ironing raised his high heels and kicked his pubic leg right into Tiger's arms. Click. Oh, with a scream, Tiger covered his crotch and squatted down, in pain. Groove, boss. The little brother behind him was anxious. The power of this kick is estimated to be at least one shattered. Maybe it's really going to be circumcised. Give to me. Catch this. Tiger gritted his teeth and roared. His face was pale, and his forehead was sweating continuously. Okay, little dog. Ji's ironing looked disdainful, and his face was full of disdain. Don't look at her as a weak nanny, but in fact, she has reached the 6th order. Although the new skills of the 6th order are still related to healing, her 6th order physique is not fake. This foot down, Ji. The men around who were watching the excitement suddenly felt cold. Damn slut. How dare you hurt my boss? Brothers, on. Seeing that his boss was abused, dozens of gangsters all rushed up. HMPH. The corners of Ji's ironing's mouth turned up slightly, and he sneered. Bang, bang. I saw that in front of everyone. Ji's ironing relied on his extraordinary speed, and a pair of long legs continued to kick out. Each attack is accompanied by a muffled sound, mixed with the sound of bones breaking. He only now realized that this nurse was not a delicate beauty, but a super fierce woman. But these people are not vegetarians either. In order not to hurt the other party before, they didn't use special abilities, but now, these gangsters can't care so much anymore, and they have released various attacks. Trapping. Fatty Zao unleashed his earth power, causing the earth under Ji's ironing's feet to suddenly soften. Ji's ironing, who had no combat experience, immediately lost his balance and fell heavily to the ground. Ha ha ha, chick, your brothers, go on, catch this girl, tonight, our brothers are blessed. These people rushed up and tied up Ji's ironing. Get out of here, you bastards. Ji's ironing struggled desperately, wanting to get rid of the shackles. However, the more she struggled, the more excited these people became. Tiger also eased up from the severe pain at this time, and forcibly injured the pain, and walked towards Ji's ironing. Stinky girls, if you dare to hurt me, I will make you live better than die. I will definitely play with you well today. Snap. Tiger said viciously, and directly slapped Ji's ironing's pretty face. A red mark suddenly appeared on her delicate cheeks. Ji's ironing snorted, and a hot tingling sensation came across his face. If you run away now, you may be able to save a small life. Ji's ironing tried hard to control her emotions, trying to keep herself calm and opening her mouth lightly. Save a small life. I really dare to say, it seems that I must deal with you tonight. Otherwise I'm sorry for your stubborn temper. Tiger laughed evilly, and the salty pig hand slowly extended to Ji's ironing. The sound of the cloth tearing came out, and the clothes on Ji's ironing's chest were torn abruptly. Spring flashed for a moment. Ji's ironing's large area of snow white skin was exposed to everyone's eyes, but fortunately, she was wearing safety pants and bandeau to block the important parts. Woohoo. The scene of XN made the surrounding men widen their eyes. Especially these little brothers of Tiger, they swallowed their saliva, and couldn't wait to pounce immediately. How can it be repaired? Ji, which is actually wearing leggings, but it's a pity. Although it's not very cool to look at this axe gang, but today I can actually see such a scenery. I will go and burn more paper money for this name Tiger when I turn back. Suddenly I want to come forward and shout, let me come. You guys said that brother now goes up to heroes to save beauty. Can he get the heart of the black-hearted female devil? Cut. Just you. Save it. Go and deliver vegetables. Speaking of which, the city guard should be coming. Isn't that it? Everyone talked about it. Today's worth it. Watching the scene can still see such benefits. All of them are a little bloody. However, when they saw Zao appear with a group of people, they knew that the picture behind them could not be seen even if they paid. It's better to go to the Phoenix Tower on the side to vent the fire. So on the originally crowded street, a large group of pedestrians entered the Phoenix Tower without looking back. Bold maniac, Dare to be presumptuous in the dragon court, live impatiently. When Zhao saw that Tiger and the others had done such a dirty thing to Ji Zhianing, he was immediately furious. After a loud drink, the more than 300 strong men beside him rushed towards Tiger and the others. Hey, it's good to disturb Lao Tzu. Cut for Lao Tzu. Lao Tzu's Axe Gang spoke again. From today onwards, this base will be ruled by our Axe Gang. Tiger shouted very arrogantly. Kill. Dozens of gangsters behind him also roared and greeted him. In an instant, two waves of people collided together. Ring the bell. Boom. In an instant, the two forces collided together, and the fierce battle instantly unfolded. The sound of swords clashing resounded throughout the street. Ugh. The screams rose and fell one after another, and after a short exchange, there were already 7 or 8 gangsters on the spot, and blood stained the streets. Hurry up, it's the people of the Axe Gang who have done it with the people of the Dragon Court. Don't look at the excitement. Retreat quickly, lest you be killed as a reactionary maniac, then barbecue. Passers-by dodged and did not dare to approach. The originally crowded streets became empty in an instant. Ji Zhianing was still tied up at the moment, and she looked up at the corpses that fell in front of her, her eyes full of teasing. If you don't make a move, your subordinates will die. Ji Zhianing said lightly, which made Tiger's face a little ugly. HMPH, I can't think that this base still has some skills, but in the eyes of my 6th order powerhouse, it's still just an ant. Tiger snorted coldly, clenched his fists, and a terrifying aura erupted all over his body. Click, click. His muscles bulged high, like a leather ball full of elasticity, full of explosive power. Moreover, his body was full of green tendons, like a dragon entrenched, extremely hideous, like a monster, terrifying. Death to Lao Tzu. Tiger drank slowly, his figure turned into an afterimage, and in the blink of an eye, he had already rushed in front of Zhao Yi. He wielded a giant iron hammer and smashed it down without any fancy, like a cannonball. Fierce. Boom. An earth-shattering sound came out. In the incredulous gaze of everyone, Zhao Yi's figure flew directly out several meters away, and finally hit the wall hard, and only then stopped. Poof. Zhao Yi opened his mouth and spat out a large mouthful of blood, and his chest sunk into a full foot, obviously seriously injured. Maya, what kind of power is this? Flesh. Not like it may be a mutated physical power. The 6th order powerhouse is terrifying. The surrounding people were so frightened that they quickly retreated, for fear of being accidentally injured by Tiger. Tiger stands proudly and burly. He looked around and saw that everyone was frightened by himself, and then smiled proudly. Haha, Lao Tzu is really the most powerful. Yes. At this moment, a gloomy voice sounded. Tiger turned his head to look. His pupils shrank suddenly, and his face changed slightly. I saw Zhao Yi slowly get up from the ground, blood wrapped around his body, and in an instant, the originally sunken chest recovered as before. Careless, I didn't expect to be a 6th order mutant, no wonder it's so arrogant. Zhao Yi wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth, and stared at Tiger with an icy expression. Tiger's move just now was completely unconventional, even terrifying, and even he was injured. However, Zhao Yi is not much worse than the other party. After Mu Yun previously handed over the ability of Blood Shadow to manipulate blood to Zhao Yi, he is now also a mutant, and the ability is more difficult than Tiger's physical body. Chapter 236. You're actually okay, how is this possible? Tiger's eyes were round and staring at Zhao Yi. His hammer just now was by no means ordinary. Even if he was also a 6th order powerhouse, it was estimated that he would be killed on the spot. But Zhao Yi stood up unscathed, causing an inexplicable sense of crisis to rise in his heart. Huh, what do you think? Zhao Yi said jokingly, do you think that you can kill me just by being a 6th order mutant? Isn't that naive? HMPH, since you are looking for death, I will fulfill you. Tiger snorted coldly and rushed towards Zhao Yi again. Not to be outdone, Zhao Yi instantly disappeared in place. Blood shadow flash. In the next second, Zhao Yi appeared strangely at Tiger's side, and a drop of scarlet blood condensed from the tip of his finger and suddenly stabbed Tiger's chest. Tiger reacted extremely quickly, and his right arm crossed, trying to block the red blood. Unfortunately, He underestimated the power of Zhao Yi's blood shadow flash, and the speed of this blow was extremely fast, and it actually penetrated Tiger's physical defenses, pierced the skin, and reached the heart position. Not good. Tiger was taken aback and hurriedly flashed sideways. Poof. Blood pierced the flesh and skin, piercing Tiger's heart. The severe pain made Tiger gasp. Fortunately, he reacted quickly, and this attack did not hit the point, and he dodged it. Without waiting for him to breathe for a moment, Zhao Yi's offensive surged like a tide. Poof. The scarlet blood turned into countless sharp arrows, densely raining down on Tiger. Each blow landed precisely on Tiger's vital spot, making it impossible to fight back. In the blink of an eye, Tiger was covered in blood, miserable. The younger brothers of the Axe Gang were frightened when they saw such a scene. Once upon a time, the cruel and tyrannical boss in their minds would be beaten like a dog, and there was no way to fight back. This simply subverts their three views. It's time to end. Zhao Yi's eyes were cold, and then he cast a blood shadow flash, and instantly swept in front of Tiger. Swoosh. Phew. A blood-colored dagger was condensed and stabbed at Tiger's neck with the sound of breaking wind, and his head could be cut off in the next second. Captain Zhao Yi, leave a living mouth. Just when Zhao Yi was about to kill everything, Ji Zhaoning suddenly stopped it. Zhao Yi's body froze, and he immediately reacted, and hurriedly withdrew the blood-colored dagger. Tiger was sweating profusely, and his entire right arm was cut off by a dagger. Although Ji Zhaoning spoke in time, Zhao Yi couldn't hold back his hand, so he had to change the trajectory of the knife. Thanks to Ji Zhaoning, Tiger did not die because of this, but only broke his arm. Woo. Tiger covered his broken arm, gasping for breath. His eyes were bloodshot and angry, eager to cut Zhao Yi by 1,000 cuts. But the important joints of his whole body have been pierced, and he has lost the power to resist. Poof. Poof. Seeing that the general trend had passed, the younger brothers of the Axe Gang knelt on the ground one after another, looking pleading. Don't kill me, I'm innocent. Tiger forced me to do it. You let me go. Yes, me too. It was all Tiger forced me to do. We are willing to surrender. Please don't kill me. The younger brothers of the Axe Gang kowtowed one after another and begged for mercy, looking terrified. Tiger. So love will disappear, right? At this moment, an icy voice sounded from behind everyone. What's going on? As soon as the words fell, a group of people hugged a tall and beautiful woman and walked over. Sister Lan. Looking at Ji Zhaoning's appearance at the moment, Sister Lan's brows suddenly furrowed. What did these guys do? During the questioning, Sister Lan pulled off her coat and draped it over the other party, covering Ji Zhaoning's delicate body. This made the melon-eating masses who watched the play sigh secretly and embarrassed. On the other hand, after Ji Zhaoning put on his clothes, he didn't forget to throw a wink at everyone, almost not letting everyone's nostrils spray blood. To get rid of the world is a demon girl who is in trouble. That's right, this guy said that the base will be Thurs in the future, and the guts are called of fat. Ji Zhaoning pointed to Tiger who was sitting on the ground and said, damn, Lao TZ you and thousands of subordinates, if you dare to kill me, my Axe Gang will definitely wash you in blood. After listening to the conversation between the two, Tiger roared angrily. When did he suffer such humiliation? The Axe Gang. Oh, okay, very good. Sister Lan's beautiful eyes narrowed slightly, and the cold killing intent suddenly broke out. Suddenly, the surrounding air became solidified. Ugh. Poof. Several air blades flew and slashed through Tiger's 5 limbs. In an instant, Tiger was completely reduced to a human body. Ah. The harsh screams resounded in the sky, like ghosts. Everyone present couldn't help but gasp. What a ruthless means. Bang. Sister Lan raised her foot, stepped on Tiger's head, and looked down at each other condescendingly. Tell me, who gave you the courage to come to the territory of the Dragon Court to spread wilderness? I was wrong. I don't dare anymore. Spare me. Tiger was heartbroken in pain, and kept begging for mercy. The horror of death made him shudder. Name the mastermind behind it, and spare your life. Sister Lan said indifferently. No, there is no instigator. It was my ghost for a while. I was wrong. Spare my life. I have a lot of supplies, a lot of women, a lot of crystal nuclei. I exchange these for my life. Tiger cried. He was really afraid. He didn't dare to speak hard anymore. He just wanted to save his life. Waste, you die. Everything for you will be base. Sister Lan shook her head and then turned her head to look at G's ironing. Sister Lan, just deal with it. I still have something to deal with at the city gate, so let's take a step first. G's ironing waved his hand with a smile. Thank you Captain Zao for saving you in time, and invite you to dinner another day. Where the duty is, just forget about eating. I'm afraid to go back to kneel on the washboard at night. Cluck, that's a shame. G's ironing covered his mouth and chuckled, charming and moving, causing everyone to be obsessed. Sister Lan, I'm leaving. Well, go ahead. Sister Lan nodded, and then she looked at everyone around her and said coldly, make them human beings, and drag them to the walls to hang them as an example. Zao Yi, send someone to clean up the Axe Gang's station. Don't let any of them go. Yes. A group of subordinates led the way, accompanied by a terrible scream, leaving only a pool of blood on the street, proving that there had been a fierce battle here. Soon, a shout of killing sounded from a certain force station in Area C, but the movement only lasted for more than 10 minutes before it was subsided. It indicates that there is no Axe Gang in this world. Guys, the situation has been grim in the past 2 days. It's best not to leave the station, otherwise you will be treated as an outlaw. Then don't blame me for being ruthless. Sister Lan looked around and warned faintly. Now there is chaos in the base, and all kinds of cows, ghosts, snakes, and gods are about to move, so Sister Lan will choose to attack strongly. Thank you Vice City Lord for reminding us. We remembered. That's right, we resolutely cooperate with the management of the base, and absolutely do not add to the chaos. Everyone nodded in agreement, acting very well behaved. The killing of chickens and monkeys is enough to deter those who are young. Where do they dare to make a mistake? Sister Lan didn't say more, and left straight with a few subordinates. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 237. After dealing with this matter, Sister Lan came to the inner city. After Zhongli, Chuyu and the others returned, they directly began to break through. After seeing the strength of the 9th Order octopus, they knew in their hearts that the strength of the 6th Order supernatural was not enough to resist this sea tide. Therefore, they need to be more powerful. The crystal nuclei obtained by cleaning up the coastline before were enough for them to break through to the 8th Order, but after all, they were all low-order crystal nuclei, and the absorption rate was slow. Now the most lacking thing in the Dragon Court is time, and it must race against time. On the contrary, 1K and Linuxin were idle. However, as the highest combat power of the base at present, 1K and Big Eye were used as whole cards and temporarily hidden. Only when the base is in immediate danger will the two of them appear. At this moment, the inner city seemed a little empty, and only a few guards were left standing guard. After entering the inner city, Sister Lan looked at the blue bay that surrounded the manor, and her brows furrowed again. If the sea tide really affects the base, the blue bay will change from the original moat to a defensive loophole. If you don't solve it quickly, I'm afraid. Sister Lan muttered with an ugly face. Go and notify the engineering department, and immediately send someone to fill in the blue bay. The idly search teams in Area D have all been sent to work, and the head of the mission hall is in charge of the latest tasks, and we need a lot of labor. Those families in Area A will all gather to help if there is nothing to do. Within 3 days, not only will I have to fill in the lake, but I will also need to see a brand new wall. After thinking about it, Sister Lan thought of countermeasures, and immediately ordered in a deep voice. Yes. The subordinates immediately went to do it. Hearing the order, his men hurriedly turned away to carry out the order. Exactly. Find something for this gang to do, so you don't have to look for something all day long. Looking at the distant back, Sister Lan nodded in satisfaction. With the latest order issued, the Dragon Court base fell into a huge busyness. Every once in a while, a group of men, women, and children from all over the city poured in to join the construction team. The original planned new urban plan can only be temporarily suspended, and the priority now is to solve the crisis caused by the sea tide. However, at this moment, the most important thing in the Dragon Court is a population, and under the stimulation of points, the huge blue bay was filled in 2 days. A towering steel wall is also rising. 2 days later. Neon Country. Boom. A huge mushroom cloud rose up into the sky, countless fish people disappeared in an instant, and the coastline turned into a dead silence. Roar. An earth-shattering roar came, and countless fish people roared madly, and rushed towards the city wall again. How can it be repaired? How come this group of fish people is endless? They have been attacking for 2 days and 2 nights, but there is no intention of stopping. Shinji Abe roared angrily and smashed his fist on the city wall. They have been fighting for 48 hours, and the supernatural and the warriors are physically and mentally exhausted, but the fishmen are still fierce in attacking, as if they can't kill it. Damn it. 10 nuclear bombs have already been used. Why are there so many fishmen? It's so weird here. I'm so tired, I can't hold on. Jizen, you can't fall. The cherry blossom trees in your hometown are blooming again. Many of the powerful people next to them complained one after another, and one by one, their faces showed fatigue. Lord Abe, you rest first, just leave it to me and Takeda here. A man in a suit stepped forward and said, now in this situation, how can I sleep? Shinji Abe pushed the man away, and his expression became a little hysterical. No, it won't last for His Majesty the Emperor to descend like this. Notify the scientific research team, and send biochemical beasts, to delay the speed of the fishman's attack. The man paused when he heard this, and then nodded heavily. Hey. He left quickly, and Shinji Abe continued to look outside the city. The army of fishmen who could not see the head at a glance, made him feel desperate. On the distant coastline, there are countless fish people rushing out of the sea, constantly attacking this side. The craters that were blown out by the nuclear bomb and the clearing cleared by the nuclear bomb were flooded again in less than 20 minutes. Damn it. Shinji Abe gritted his teeth and couldn't wait to tear these damn monsters to shreds. But it didn't work. Roar. Suddenly, a roar resounded in the sky. The originally closed city gate was suddenly opened, and a group of naked, wounded, and sewn mouths appeared in front of the fishman army. The head is exceptionally tall, at least 4 or 5 meters taller than ordinary fishmen, with thick arms and knotted muscles, as strong as rocks. These people have a common feature, that is a metal collar around their necks. Some grumpy people wanted to attack the normal humans in isolation suits next to them, but they were soon knocked to the ground by the arc of electricity shot from the collar, foaming at the mouth. These guys who are not ghosts, and ghosts are the results obtained after Neon Country secretly carried out human experiments, forcibly punching spiritual energy crystal nuclei or abnormal energy crystal nuclei into the human body, or fusing mutant beast genes with humans, and so on. For this experiment, the civilians of the Neon Nation suffered. The brutal experiment ended in failure, and all the experiments created were humans who looked like these monsters. They have a body that exceeds the superpower, and even some experimental subjects have obtained supernatural powers. But their consciousness hovers between normal people and monsters, and they have long gone completely crazy. Go, you monsters. For the glory of the Great Sun Empire, kill these fish people, and dedicate the last trace of strength to His Majesty the Emperor. Shinji Abe's indifferent voice resounded in the mind of every mutant. The next moment, the cyborg's eyes were blood red, and he roared unwillingly towards Abe on the city wall. Boom. The city gate was closed, and these hundreds of cyborgs were forced to helpless, so they had to rush towards the army of fishmen with a strong fierce temper. They are glorious warriors, let us send them blessings with the most devout etiquette. Shinji Abe slowly raised his right hand. Long live His Majesty the Emperor. Long live the Great Sun Empire. Hooray. Banzai. On the XN city wall, after hearing the Emperor's name, everyone recovered their spirits and shouted together. Roar. A cyborg violently shook his fist and hammered his chest fiercely, as if venting the anger in his heart. The Emperor who went to TM, if not imprisoned by the collar, would have died for Laotzu. Now this group of cyborgs only has killing left in their eyes, and these fishman armies in front of them are the only targets. They rushed forward like wild beasts. Chapter 238. I saw the bodies of these cyborgs running and squirming. Poof. Poof. Bone spurs grew out of the back of these cyborgs, enveloping them whole. The biochemical man's mouth opened instantly, and a sharp tooth flashed like a blade, and it bit fiercely at the neck of a fishman, directly biting off its entire head. Blood splattered out, and the fishman rolled in pain several times, before falling to the ground. This is just the beginning. Subsequently, more and more cyborgs rushed up, and tore the enemies in front of them to pieces. The horrific speed and brutality are terrifying. Kill all these monsters. Shinji Abe stood on the city wall, looking coldly at the countless fishman armies in the distance, and a flash of excitement flashed in his eyes. Although there are only hundreds of these cyborgs, they actually blocked the army of fishmen. Biochemical people are not afraid of death. As long as they survive, their flesh and blood will be reborn again after a squirm. It's a pity. If you can have the thinking of a normal person, these monsters will become a trump card in the Neon Country. Shinji Abe sighed regretfully. Taking advantage of this gap, he ordered the psychic and the soldier to take turns to rest. As long as they carried it for a day, their Emperor Majesty could advance to a 10th order existence. And what will these armies of fishmen be at that time? Neon Nation is destined to stand tall on top of the world. Thinking about it, an obsessive smile appeared on his face. On the sea. It's been 2 days. Aren't we going to attack yet? Poseidon stood respectfully beside the Snake G. I can't imagine that the human beings on this small island can persist until now. The breath of that kid is still on the island. Since he has not escaped, then we are not in a hurry. After all, 2 days have passed, but there is no progress on their side. Only 10 nuclear bombs from the other side. Snake G pondered for a moment and decided to speed up the process a little. A siren scream resounded throughout the sea. Immediately afterwards, the huge waves roared into the sky, and dozens of huge seeking beasts appeared in the sky, rushing towards the Neon Country with great might. This sudden change attracted the attention of Abe and others, who raised their heads and shrank their pupils when they saw the seeking beast that covered the sky. They had heard about the strength of the seeking beast for a long time, but when they saw the seeking beast with their own eyes, they understood that the rumor was not false. The seeking beasts are much larger than a mountain, and their bodies are covered with hideous scales, exuding a light blue luster, and swaying like a stream of water. Black and white striped pythons, slender deep sea piranhas, 100-meter tall king-footed insects, and electric eels surrounded by electric light. The sense of oppression brought by these giant beasts, even if they are tens of kilometers apart, is still breathless. Damn, how could these beasts suddenly appear? Abe cursed in horror. No matter, you must not let these behemoths ashore, Shinji Abe said through gritted teeth. Come, immediately launch nuclear bombs, the number 10. When the words fell, a non-commissioned officer quickly turned away, ready to launch a nuclear bomb. These seeking beasts are too terrifying, and it is impossible for these soldiers to stop them, only by relying on nuclear bombs. Boom. One by one, nuclear bombs cut through the dark sky shrouded in clouds, and flew towards the seeking beasts with dazzling tail flames. The power of a nuclear bomb is extremely terrifying, and a single nuclear bomb can blow up half a small town. The impact of so many nuclear bombs gathered together and exploded is absolutely devastating. Although the seeking beast has rough skin and thick flesh, it can't withstand this impact, let alone a bunch of nuclear bombs. Boom. Bang. Mushroom clouds rose up along the coastline, setting off gusts of wind, sweeping the dust, and ravaging the heavens and the earth. In the midst of the smoke, the seeking beasts roared fiercely, their huge bodies swaying, obviously seriously injured. Oh, we won. Haha, how can the seeking beast resist our nuclear bomb? Victory belongs to our Neon Nation. The soldiers cheered excitedly, but they did not see that in the smoke, a huge seeking beast quietly crawled out. Roar. The seeking beast roared into the sky, and the voice filled the ears of every soldier. Not good. Shinji Abe's face suddenly changed. That guy is actually not dead. Boom. The roar of the great king footworm was tinged with anger and hatred. I saw it suddenly burst out, and the huge figure left a series of traces on the ground. The speed of the great king footworm is extremely fast, and the dense armor foot leaves one mark after another on the ground, and it appears under the walls of the Tokyo base in an instant. Roar. With an angry roar, the king had a foot insect, and swallowed more than a dozen cyborgs in one bite. Poof. Don't say, it tastes good, and it also bursts with pulp. After solving the remaining delicacy in 3 times and dividing by 2, the king of the footworm set his eyes on more delicacies in the base. Boom. Without any pause, it dragged its huge body and slammed into the steel wall that was 100 meters tall. Boom. The earthquake shook, and the entire base shook violently, and several cracks broke out in the city wall. Bastard. Don't you dare. Shinji Abe roared angrily. Stop it for me. With Shinji Abe's order, everyone on the city wall suddenly returned to their senses. In an instant, countless powers, bullets, and missiles tilted down towards the Great King Footworm, trying to intercept it. Boom. Boom. The two sides fought together, gunfire rang out, and fire was fierce. However, the difference in strength between the two sides was too great, and these seemingly deadly attacks hit the Great King Footworm without even leaving a trace. On the other hand, the Great King Footworm, its speed is getting faster and faster, and each impact makes the entire base shake violently. 80, 80, 80, boom. The Great King slammed into it 10 times, and finally collapsed the steel wall that was 100 meters high. Roar. The Great King Footworm roared up to the sky, and its voice was extremely penetrating. It shook its head vigorously, shaking off the dust on its body, and its scolled eyes stared at the soldiers who were knocked away, and the soldiers who shivered in the city walls. Quick. Come on. It's over. The last pure land of the Neon Country has been breached. I'm going to commit suicide by seppuku and myself. Looking at the monsters that kept rushing, everyone was so frightened that they fled desperately. Countless armies of fishmen rushed along the gap in the collapsed city wall. Ampui Jinji collapsed to the ground, looking at the situation that was gradually out of control, his face full of despair and pain. The Great Sun Empire. Dead. Chapter 239. As the gates were breached, a killing feast officially began. A large number of fish people poured in from the gap, and they rushed into the city with their teeth and claws, frantically slaughtering the fragile creatures. Ah! Help! Help! The screams rang one after another. Countless soldiers struggled to survive, but in this situation, they seemed so small and helpless. Roar. The Great King Footworm roared again and frantically pounced on the center of the base with an army of fishmen. It is like a monarch in the world, and everywhere it passes, corpses are strewn, and rivers of blood flow. Shinji Abe sat on the ground sluggishly, watching the King Footworm advancing all the way. Blood had stained the entire base, and the strong smell of blood filled the air. Despair and wails hung over everyone's heart. Small world. Oh, why did I hold on to it for 2 days, which is a little different from the time I expected. Mu Yun, who had just finished feeding the pig feed, looked at the picture displayed on the drone screen, and couldn't help but sigh. Fortunately, I'm about to break through, otherwise it will be really troublesome. Mu Yun smiled and returned to the underground of the holy tree to continue absorbing crystal nuclei. Now that the 9th order crystal nucleus in his hand had become very dim, Mu Yun had absorbed 80% of his energy. It is estimated that it will take another 4 or 5 hours to break through smoothly, right? Thinking of this, Mu Yun showed a look of expectation. I hope Neon Country can hold out a little longer. Kyoto, War Room. Hahaha, this Neon Country is completely finished. Good. It's so good. The strange thing is that, although the population of the Neon Country is not large, with the strength of the whole country, it should always cultivate some high-level superpowers, right? Why are they all 3rd and 4th order guys? You found who a point. Maybe the other party still has a backhand. Backhand? You look at this King Footworm, at least it has the strength of the 8th order or above. Even if it is a 9th order superpower, it can be easily crushed. Do you think the other party can still turn over? In the war room, the big guys from all sides talked about it. Thanks to the power of Skynet satellites, the picture of Neon Country at this moment was broadcast live to every corner of the world. The leaders of all countries, government officials, and the people of all countries, such as the country of the bear, the United States, the Empire of the Sunset, and so on, all saw the picture of the destruction of the base city of Tokyo at this time. This made them more aware of the threat of ocean tides. Well, one by one, we have to learn from it, otherwise the next country to be destroyed will be the country of China. Qin Ming snorted coldly, causing the war room to suddenly fall silent. Old Yang, how is the arming on the west coast? The army has been assembled, and it is now on the way to the target location, and it is estimated that it will arrive in the next 2 days. Well, there is work. The two old foxes looked at each other, and they both saw the deep meaning in each other's eyes. Dragon Court Base. Underground secret base. Jiangming, Lin Yuxin and Wang Ke were also in the core control room, watching the picture of the Neon Country being captured. Good fellow, another good seeking beast, if only he could catch it, and make a companion for Big Eye. Wang Ke looked at the big king footworm, and his saliva was dripping down. Jiangming glanced at him, and ignored the stupid dog's words. The other party is an 8th order existence, how can it be so easy to catch? Wang Ke, you said Mu Yun will be fine, right? Lin Yuxin looked worried. Wang, that guy is shrewd, there must be no problem. Wang Ke waved his tail and comforted. I hope so. While the two were chatting, Jiangming had already begun to quickly tap the keyboard, continuing to control manipulators and intelligent robots, to build a new city. Suddenly, the wisdom brain sounded a dripping alarm. Warning. Warn. If an unknown object breaks in, do you close the safe passage and open the emergency shelter? Hearing the reminder voice of the wisdom brain, Jiangming immediately stopped the work in his hand. Huh. Jiangming frowned. Someone was able to discover here. Wang. It's not good to come. Close all access gates immediately, and infrared scanning opens to detect danger. Jiangming ordered with a serious expression. The floodgates are closed. The intruder footage is being retrieved. Complete. The wisdom brain immediately carried out the order. Soon, a blurry black figure appeared on the display screen in front of the three. This figure did not resemble a human. It was like a black fog, slowly floating towards the war room. Along the way, infrared laser weapons can't do damage to it at all. Even the safety gate was a virtual treatim, drilling directly into the vent duct and eventually disappearing. What the hell is this? Seeing this scene, Jiangming couldn't help but exclaim. He had never seen an enemy in this form. Yuxin, you go and inform Sister Emolin. This guy may be from the Heavenly Gate, and it is estimated that he came for the Blood Shadow who was imprisoned. Jiangming pondered for a moment, and immediately made a decision. 1k, you go and hold the second layer. They'll break through on the second layer. Don't have any problems. Understood. Be careful yourself. Don't worry, no one can kill me on my turf yet. With these words, 1k and Lin Yuxin left separately, while Jiangming began to tap on the keyboard, controlling the various traps in the shelter. Inside the ventilation duct, the black fog slowly advanced. Unexpectedly, a small dragon court hides such a secret stronghold. A deep voice came from the black mist. Blood Shadow, this guy's really a waste. He can't do a little thing, and he has to take action personally. HMPH. It's really unpleasant. Saying that, the black mist suddenly increased its speed, and in an instant, it passed through the thick steel wall, and went straight to the 5th underground floor. He could sense that the Blood Shadow was here. In the closed secret room, Blood Shadow lay on the ground, bored looking at the incandescent lamp overhead. His eyes had long lost focus, as if he had lost his soul. Whoa, suddenly, in a pipeline used to transport oxygen, a black mist slowly floated out. Blood Shadow, you waste, you were actually captured alive. The black mist gradually condensed into substance, and finally turned into a black-robed man who exuded a terrifying aura. Blood Shadow looked up at the familiar face, and his pupils gradually regained focus. Lord Cage. His lips moved slightly, but he was dry and unable to speak, because he hadn't drunk water for too long. HMPH. The face of our organization has been lost by you. The black-robed man snorted coldly, kicked Blood Shadow's stomach, kicked him out, and hit the wall. Cough, cough. Lord Cage, save me, save me. Blood Shadow opened his eyes with difficulty, and his eyes were full of pleading as he looked at the black-robed man. Nonsense. Otherwise you think I came here with great trouble to catch up with you? Hope was rekindled in Blood Shadow's gaze. You didn't reveal the information about the organization, did you? The black-robed man stared at him indifferently, and his tone was a little lower. Hearing this, the Blood Shadow sweated coldly, and his back was directly wet. Seeing this scene, the black-robed man already knew the result. You know the cost of betraying the organization. The black-robed man smiled grimly. I will bring your corpse back. Chapter 240. The blood shadow suddenly trembled. Don't kill my lord. I don't want to betray the organization either, but the other party has a psychic power, and I can't resist. He was able to read my memory, and I couldn't resist at all. Hearing this, the black-robed man raised his eyebrows. Spirit department. I see. Yes, I'm loyal to the organization, and I have absolutely no intention of betraying. Moreover, my ability has also been deprived by the ruler of this base, and I have now become an ordinary person with no special ability. Speaking of this, Blood Shadow's defense gradually weakened. The absence of special or mutant abilities means that he loses any value to the organization. It is likely to be ruthlessly abandoned by the organization. Blood Shadow's heart was panicked and very apprehensive. No wonder the church asked me to come and go, that's why. Then he took out a syringe with a green transparent liquid. Lord Cage, this is... Blood Shadow wondered. This is a newly researched biological agent of the organization. Take it, you can be reborn. Lord Ziyang. Blood Shadow said excitedly. In the Blood Shadow's thanks, the syringe was inserted into his neck, and the medicine was injected directly into his body. After a while, the skin of the Blood Shadow suddenly burst into blue, and the entire body was convulsing, obviously extremely painful. A tearing sharp pain struck, and the Blood Shadow screamed, but the black-robed man just looked at him quietly. My lord. This is... well, it hurts. Tears overflowed from the corners of Blood Shadow's eyes, and the muscles of his face were twisted to the extreme. Forgot to say, this biological agent is still in the experimental stage. The chance of survival is only 0.1%. Anyway, you waste one now, you should make some contribution to the organization. Hearing this, Blood Shadow's eyes were filled with shock. Why? I didn't betray the organization. He roared unwillingly. No betrayal. Amusing. The black-robed man smiled contemptuously. You said that the other party has psychic powers, so why don't you bite your tongue and commit suicide before the other party invades your memory? You don't even have the consciousness to make sacrifices for the organization, and you dare to say that there is no betrayal. After hearing this, Blood Shadow's expression completely froze, and his throat seemed to be blocked, unable to say half a word. Blood Shadow has never been so speechless in his life. I hate it. His eyes were bloodshot and filled with resentment. Sister Emolyn, what are they doing? I don't know when. The figures of Emolyn and Lenuxin appeared outside the secret room, watching the interaction between the two through the solid transparent glass. Faced with Lenuxin's doubts, Emolyn just tilted her head and remained silent. Damn, when did these two guys show up? The man in black did not want to reveal his identity, and his body began to gradually fog, ready to leave the place. Click. Suddenly, the small opening in the chamber that originally carried oxygen was suddenly closed. HMPH, when my shelter is my own home. Come when you want, go when you want. Jiang Ming's voice sounded from around the secret room. What? Immediately afterwards, in the secret room, Blood Shadow's body gradually began to squirm, gradually turning into a large ball of meat. Damn, the effects of biological agents are beginning to appear, and if you don't leave, you will be dangerous. The black-robed man cursed secretly, ready to find a way to escape from here. In the black fog state, he began to look for exits in the room, and he could penetrate any gap. But the result surprised him, and the secret room was completely sealed. A solemn look appeared on the black-robed man's face. The flesh spherical Blood Shadow is still squirming, and its body size is getting bigger and bigger, gradually filling the entire secret room. Damn, don't think that such a little trick can trap me. Since there is no exit, then I will break it myself. The black-robed man's face was hideous, and his right hand transformed into a solid, and bombarded the glass wall. Boom. A muffled sound came. Click. The glass walls showed faint cracks. Seeing this, the black-robed man breathed a sigh of relief in his heart, as long as he could destroy this glass. However, the next moment, his pupils contracted violently, and his face suddenly changed wildly. I saw Emolyn take out a uniquely shaped firearm, and the black fog against the black-robed man through the glass was a shot. But an invisible ripple of shock swept out and instantly crashed into the black-robed man's body. Poof. The black mist collapsed, and a mouthful of blood spewed out of the black-robed man's mouth. and the whole person flew back several meters before he could stop. This is psionic weapons? The black-robed man was horrified. Just now, the ability to incarnate the black mist was knocked back to its original form. The reason is that Merlin's firearm can interfere with psionic particles in the designated area, disrupting the orderly arrangement of spiritual energy. Simply and meaningfully, is able to directly nullify the other party's ability. The principle of using special energy is to release the spiritual energy in the body through a special arrangement through its own powerful spiritual power. For this research, Merlin can be said to know better than anyone. Merlin, no one knows psionics better than me. The Dragon Court has a divine Duan master? Damn Chen Feng, such important news is not reported to the organization. The black-robed man's face was gloomy, and his eyes flashed with fierceness. Akiu in a dark alley somewhere in the base, Chen Feng suddenly sneezed. Strange, how can I catch a cold? I don't know how the rescue plan of Lord Cage went. Chen Feng scratched the back of his head, and muttered with some concern. For the special profession of Divine Duan Master, Chen Feng, an ordinary member, could not reach it. Merlin's existence he only mentioned to the organization, thinking that he was just a special ability. However, the middle level of this organization called Shadow Master is clear. The existence of the Divine Duan division is of great significance, and it can even be said to be the most core strategic weapon of a country. The reason why such an existence is important is not the means of creating psionic weapons, but the research in the field of psionics. Every Divine Duan Master is a genius scientist who can be recorded in history, and the knowledge they master is the core strength. At this moment, what Lord Dying was facing was the horror of the Divine Duan Master. Others are still playing with superficial powers, and people can already reduce their dimensionality through some kind of law. This is no longer a contest on one level. Just like ordinary people are still babbling, Merlin has already driven a star destroyer in the universe. Lord Dying seemed to be a bug of a low-level civilization at this moment, and he could be pinched to death by a god-level civilization, like Merlin at will. But at this moment, Merlin is not very interested in this guy, but has a strong interest in the big meatballs in the secret room. The new experimental subjects. A mysterious smile appeared on Merlin's handsome face. Seeing this, Linuxin on the side couldn't help but take a few steps back, and a cold breath rose in his heart. She always felt that Sister Merlin's smile was too oozing, and incompatible with her original cute temperament. Chapter 241. Death. Heaven's Gate. Damn it. I hate. A hideous and distorted face on the big meatball suddenly emerged from the sarcoma. This face was covered with blood and bruises, and it looked extremely scary, especially its eyes were empty and cloudy, and it seemed to have completely lost its mind. Energy. I'm going to devour more energy. With the sound of the voice, the hideous face slowly turned to the only living creature in the room. Lord Shadow suddenly felt the chrysanthemum tightened, and a bad feeling welled up in his heart. I must find a way to escape from here, otherwise even if I'm an 8th order psychic, I will be devoured by the experimental body. Thinking of this, Lord Shadow immediately shook his fist madly against the glass wall. Although he can't use his powers, his body is still strong. Click. The cracks on the glass wall began to intensify. After all, it was the physique of an 8th order superpower, which was equivalent to 70 or 80 times that of ordinary people. This tempered glass film was completely shattered with a click. Ha ha ha, how can it trap me? Ha. Lord Cage's laughter suddenly stopped, and he was horrified to find that after this glass wall was broken, there was actually a thick layer of glass wrapped outside. HMPH, how about 2 sides of tempered glass? Watch me break it. Lord Cage slammed his fist again. At the moment, he did not realize the seriousness of the matter. Sister Merlin, don't we need to do something? Linuxin looked at the man who was frantically waving his fists, his face full of worry. Merlin just skimmed lightly and thought for a while. Find Luoxi and ask her to help me get something. But can this glass withstand it? This glass wall is made of AM3 material with a Vickers hardness of 113 GPa, and natural diamonds have a Vickers hardness of about 70 to 100 GPa. This AM3 material can easily leave a deep scratch on the diamond surface. It is estimated to be 10 times harder than steel and 20 to 100 times stronger than most bulletproof glass, making it the hardest glass in the world. After a bunch of professional explanations by Emolin, Linuxin understood. Immediately without saying more, Dadada ran towards Luox's room with small broken steps. Lord Shadow was still shaking his fists vigorously, not hearing what Emolin had just said at all. The big ball of meat was still squirming, and its body gradually expanded, and it was about to spread to the entire room. There are fewer and fewer places where Kage-sama can move. Boom. Another punch was thrown, and a loud noise came, and the glass wall, which was harder than a diamond, did not move. Why? Why can't it be broken? Ah. Lord Shadow raised his head to the sky and roared. A trace of panic flashed in his eyes. He banged desperately on the glass wall, trying to blast it through. Unfortunately, the hardness of this glass is far beyond imagination. Even if Lord Shadow uses the strength of milk, this wall is still undamaged. Huh. Merge with me, my dear Lord Kage. Suddenly, the voice of a blood shadow appeared in Kage-sama's ears. The voice was full of resentment, excitement, and pain. Lord Kage was stunned for a moment, and then suddenly found that his body seemed to be under control. He looked down, and saw a pool of flesh and blood wrapped around his ankles, quickly climbing up his calves. Fuck off. Damn scraps, get out of my way. Lord Kage-sama roared hysterically. He was unwilling, desperate, painful, and all kinds of negative emotions filled his heart. HHY. I'm not willing. He began to change his target, swinging his fists towards the ball of meat. However, wherever these attacks landed, they could not provoke any response, as if they did not exist at all. Lord Kage-sama knew that this was a variant characteristic produced by biological agents. After the experiment fails, it will become such a flesh and blood monster that is neither human nor ghost. These monsters have only one characteristic, that is, they absorb all energy and proliferate their own cells. Each of his punches seemed to attack the flesh and blood monster, but in fact he was sending energy to it, but it was prompting it to grow faster. Stop resisting. Isn't that what you expected, my dear adult? Bloody's voice sounded again, with mockery and contempt, and a hint of vengeance. Get out of here, you fucking monster. Kage-sama has fallen into madness, frantically attacking everything around him. Boom. A sound of bone rubbing sounded, and his thighs below were completely engulfed in balls of flesh. The blood shadow is eating away at it little by little, absorbing all the energy of Lord Shadow. No, let me out. I'm the Hall of Shadow Master. How can I die in such a place? Lord Shadow's expression was hysterical, and he roared at Merlin outside the glass wall. Huh. But the only thing that responded to him was the crooked brain killing of the petite girl. If you are released, the monster will also come out. Emolin thought for a moment, shook her head and refused. There is a way to kill the monster. You let me out, I tell you. Lord Kage's eyes burned with hope and struggled fiercely. You tell me first, and I'll let you out. Good. I'm telling you. Lord Kage-sama almost shouted out through gritted teeth. The ball of flesh had completely devoured his lower body and was slowly spreading upwards. If you continue to waste time, sooner or later you will be completely devoured by meatballs. Sour. Only the corrosive properties of concentrated sulfuric acid cannot be absorbed by this guy, and other energy will only help it continue to grow. Sour. Emolin pondered for a moment, and then showed a weird smile. Understood. This saves me time for my own research. Thank you. Lord Shadow was overjoyed when he heard this. Quickly release me. But what awaited him was a swarthy muzzle. Sorry, you once warned that lying is very bad, so it's better not to let others know about this kind of thing. Dead people are often very obedient and can obediently shut up. As soon as the words fell, Emolin's wrist shook slightly, and the electromagnetic pulse gun on his arm sprayed a certain oscillation frequency. Invisible ripples pierced the glass and struck towards the shocked Kage-sama. Damn, you vicious woman, you must not die well. Chapter 242. Feeling the tearing pain of his soul, Kage-sama screamed repeatedly. However, no matter how angry he scolded, there was no way to change the upcoming ending. Yuxin, why are you looking for me in a hurry? Get in the car, it's too late to explain. Lin Yuxin picked up Luoxi and pushed the wheelchair back to Emolin. Merlin, what's going on? Emolin was stunned for a moment. Here, help me take out this person's supernatural crystal nucleus, thank you. The next moment, she quietly turned on the frequency of the electromagnetic pulse to the maximum. Boom. Cage Sammer's head exploded like a watermelon, and bright red blood splattered everywhere. Ugh. Linuxin and Luoxi screamed in fright. Crystal nucleus, quick. Under Emolin's urging, Luoxi forced his soul out, directly penetrated the glass, and reached out to grab the crystal nucleus that was blown up. Immediately, he quickly left the secret room and returned to his body, and the black energy crystal nucleus was also brought out. Lord Shadow's ability is very strong, but unfortunately it is restrained by Emolin's psionic energy disorder device. It's a pity that such an ability is not made into a psionic weapon. Since then, Melin's face has had an extra pair of black framed glasses. In the closed secret room, the blood shadow that had turned into flesh and mud happily devoured the remnants of Lord Shadow, emitting maniacal laughter. Dead. Ha. My Lord Cage, we will be together forever in the future. A bloody face suddenly appeared on top of the meat mud, and it twisted wildly, wanting to get rid of the shackles of the meat mud. All that can be manifested is a silent wail and a curse of extreme resentment. Disgusting, so disgusting. Linuxin only felt a surge in her stomach, and Luoxi also looked disgusted, and her brows furrowed. Only Melin, as if he had discovered some peerless treasure, stared excitedly at the wriggling mass of flesh and blood. At this time, Jiangming and Wang Ke also rushed over after confirming that there were no other intruders. I'll go. What is this? Looking at the wriggling pieces of flesh on the flesh and blood, both of them couldn't help but complain. It's disgusting. It's like a soft mud monster, but the body surface is full of scalloped meridians and blood vessels, and two faces are intertwined, and they are going to vomit out the next night's meal. This is a new life form. The ability to absorb energy is perfect, but unfortunately without sanity. Only the resentment before death is left to drive him to destroy this world. Emolin said lightly, and then cast his gaze to Jiangming. These things are worth studying. You help me transform a special research room. I need to be able to extract each other's genes at any time. No problem. This little thing is wrapped up in me. Also, this guy is afraid of concentrated sulfuric acid to prevent accidents, you know. Jiangming made an okay gesture. As an old partner of the dark web, this kind of thing goes without saying much at all. Ending this episode, Melin threw out a new question. By the way, the special metal is running out. You go and think of a way. Hearing Emolin's natural tone, Jiangming almost didn't choke. No, you and I are a dream. I can conjure anything for you. But what responded to him was just Emolin, who tilted his head and was cute. Okay, I'll figure it out. Jiangming raised his forehead. He suddenly wanted to return to the time when he was alone. At that time, I was very leisurely, growing vegetables every day, raising cattle, and nothing to do in the group Versailles. How beautiful. But since he came to the Dragon Court, he hadn't been idle for a moment. Bastard Mu Yun, Pit Laozi, crumbs. The more he thought about it, the more angry he became, and Jiangming decided to throw this kind of problem to this bastard to solve. After everyone dispersed, Jiangming sent his condolences to Mu Yun through the mind net. He informed the other party of the recent situation of the base and the affairs of the Shadow Lord. By the way, at present, the dilemma of the base is that there is a serious shortage of materials, especially metals, inside a small world. As the energy of the ninth order crystal nucleus in his hand was exhausted and turned into ashes, Mu Yun finally slowly opened his eyes. Boom. The powerful momentum instantly erupted from his body and swept the entire small world. All the birds and beasts crawled on the ground and shivered, and the sacred tree was windless and automatic, making a soft swaying sound. Sudden changes come and go quickly. Woo. Only a few seconds later, Mu Yun let out a long breath of turbid breath, and a light smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. Breakthrough, 8th order superpower. Slowly getting up, Mu Yun stretched his waist, and the bones in his body crackled. Is this the power of the 8th order? Clenching his fist, Mu Yun threw a punch vigorously towards the sky, and a force visible to the naked eye suddenly burst out, and the surrounding air fluctuated violently. The violent fist wind drove the surrounding air, and a gust of wind blew in the small world. It is worthy of being an 8th order superpower, and his physique has reached an astonishing 200 times. I think that even ordinary 10th order powerhouses should not be as strong as my current physique. The corners of his mouth turned up slightly, quite satisfied with his current strength. At this moment, the energy in Mu Yun's body skyrocketed tenfold, and the scope of the domain expanded to a radius of 10,000 meters. Even if he encounters the existence of the King Realm, he can't escape anytime and anywhere, and no one can keep him. As for the King Realm, Mu Yun. Invincibility. Just when Mu Yun was in a mood and ready to see if the Neon Kingdom perished, he received a deep resentment from Jiangming. After a simple and friendly exchange, he learned the cause and effect. Is there a lack of metal materials? Muttered Mu Yun. Not only the special metals that Merlin needed, but even the steel used to build the walls and the new city of the base were not enough. For the construction materials of the base, Mu Yun had already planned the hard ore that the fish people brought out of the deep sea as a good choice. Mixing it into a steel alloy and melting it will definitely be able to pull the base's defense up by more than a dozen levels. However, this material is more troublesome to obtain, and he is not ready to enter the deep sea at present. Sister Lan's concerns are also correct. Filling the blue bay is beneficial and harmless to slow down the onset of the sea tide. It's that the steps are pulled too big at once, and it is easy to pull the egg. Sister Lan wanted to build the entire city wall of the base in one step. After the blue bay was filled, the current outer city is only a quarter of the entire circular base. This means that the Dragon Court requires a lot of building materials, and the remaining 3 walls are also built. The material consumed by such a large project is staggering. The reinforced concrete purchased in the first 3 months of the apocalypse can also build a city wall. Even if the base has collected a lot of materials these days, it is a drop in the bucket compared to the construction of the city wall. However, Mu Yun felt that there was nothing wrong with this. If you just surround the outer city and the inner city at this moment, and make a temporary wall, then the base will develop more and more in the future, and even if this wall is built perfectly, it will be demolished. Simply create it in one go, saving follow-up trouble. It seems that I have to find someone to fund it. I don't know how much Kinyu knows about this extremely hot natural disaster, and I don't know how much he knows. Chapter 243. Thinking of this, Mu Yun was ready to take a look at the current situation of the Neon country first, and then talk to Kinyu. As a result, it doesn't matter if you don't look at it, it's scary when you look at it. I saw a mess of fire in the original large base, but the endless army of fishmen became corpses on the ground at this moment. The king-footed worm, which was originally the size of a mountain, had been split in half by an unknown force. I missed something. This twist is a bit big. Mu Yun couldn't help but burst into foul language. It's only been a few hours. How did the Neon Kingdom turn over? With doubts in his heart, Mu Yun controlled the drone to look around. In the center of the base, a large number of island people are scrambling towards a certain shrine. It seems to be the last safe zone in Neon Nation. Far above the sea, a man in a kimono is fighting fiercely with an army of fishmen. Who is this guy? It looks like the level is not low, Mu Yun muttered. And at this moment, countless fishmen jumped up from the sea and rushed towards the kimono man. Die, disgusting monsters. Yaji Daijin, please give me the strength to make all these dirty things disappear. The kimono man had a weird smile on his lips, and his hands quickly pinched and chanted. Then, the surrounding body emitted a dazzling white glow, as if in a holy realm of light. Light system? Mu Yun narrowed his eyes. It's not like the ability that I haven't seen before. Next second, in the huge white light, a large snake of Yaji flew out of the sky. The body of the giant snake is thousands of meters long, covered with pitch black scale armor, and the 8 huge snake heads are terrifying and hideous. Roar. With the appearance of the Yaji great snake, a deafening roar resounded in the sky, as if it was about to overturn the entire sea. The snake head roared, spitting out a poisonous mist. After encountering the poisonous mist, a large number of fish people were corroded and turned into a pool of blood. I thought it was a powerful energy. It turned out to be just an energy mimicry that could not be seen. Bells and whistles. In fact, it is a poisonous special energy. Crumbs. Mu Yun snorted disdainfully, very unimpressed by the performance of this kimono man. The effect presented by the picture in front of you is just one way to use the power. This Yaji serpent is not really a living creature either. It's just that the kimono man manipulated spiritual energy through spiritual power and displayed his poisonous energy through such a form. In the end, this is a poisonous fog, scary to look at, but in fact it is useless. Not to mention that Mu Yun can be fabricated at will. Zhao Yi in the base can also control his own blood to form a flood beast. Liu Meng can also create an object made of water element by controlling water. Mu Yun expressed some disappointment, originally thinking that if the power was awesome enough, he plundered and brought it back to the base for his subordinates to use. But looking at the current situation, this guy can't count on it. That is, Snake G and Poseidon have not yet made a move. If the existence of the King realm is real, this person will be finished in less than a minute. Mu Yun, who lacked interest, no longer paid attention to the doomed neon country, and instead took out his mobile phone and began to contact Kinyu. Inside the Tokyo base at the moment, the surviving island people saw the Yaji Daijin released by His Majesty the Emperor, and their eyes flashed with fanaticism. Long live His Majesty the Emperor. The great god of Yaji is protecting us, the sea monster. What a tooth. Ha ha ha, the great Sun Empire is not dead yet. Long live the Emperor. The people of the island nation cheered, bowed and shouted, with reverence written on their faces. Emperor Sawagora controlled the Yaji Great Snake to sweep at the army of fishmen below and suddenly set off a bloody storm. Hearing the cheers coming from a distance behind him, Emperor Sawagora's face was full of pride. Yalxi, it seems that it is absolutely wise to pour the resources of the whole country into this emperor. Emperor Sawagora, who had just broken through the 10th order, burst with confidence. What a post-apocalypse. What a natural disaster. What a sea tide. In the eyes of the Emperor Ben, he is nothing more than a chicken and a dog. After tonight, this ocean must surrender at the feet of the Great Sun Empire. Just as Emperor Sawagora was killing vigorously on the sea level, Poseidon looked at such an arrogant human being, and the ferocity in his eyes flashed. Wang, I think, this human being, is the last resort of this island. Should we make a move? Poseidon asked. Snake G pondered for a moment, feeling that the time was almost right. So, she stretched out her right hand, and an incomparably powerful coercion swept the entire heaven and earth in an instant. Give the humans here a blow and let them know what kind of fear the wrath of the sea god really is. Crush humanity's last hope and let them feel what despair feels like. Snake G's words fell, and Poseidon, who had been standing still, slowly raised his head. There was a deep indifference in his scholar eyes. Immediately, Poseidon suddenly waved the sea god trident in his hand. The wind began to howl, the waves churned, and the tyrannical atmosphere permeated the world. A hurricane rose up, and a tornado suddenly appeared across the sky, as if the end had come. The tornado rotated wildly, carrying the power of destroying the world, and sweeping towards the Yaji Great Serpent. Poseidon and Snegheim were lifted up by the wind and waves, and crushed towards Emperor Sawagora. Humans, ready for death. Poseidon grinned, revealing Senlin's sharp teeth. What a strong force. Feeling the amazing energy contained in the tornado, Emperor Sawagora's pupils contracted, and a trace of panic flashed in his eyes. Yaji Daijin is on top, block it for me. Emperor Sawagora hurriedly ordered. Roar. The Yaji Great Snake raised its head to the sky and let out an angry roar. In an instant, 8 heads swung at the same time, spewing out a poisonous mist in the sky. Poof. The poisonous fog hit the tornado, and was immediately blown to pieces by the hurricane, turning into a poisonous fog floating in the sky. The terrifying tornado covered the entire sea, wrapped in panic, and continued to attack the Yaji Great Serpent without hindrance. 8 quacks rode. Emperor Sawagora clenched his teeth and his forehead was bruised. His eyes were cracked, his fists clenched, his knuckles clicking. Don't underestimate me, bastard. Emperor Sawagora shouted angrily, and ran the energy in his body to the extreme. The next moment, the body of the Yaji Great Snake soared again, and every inch of its body swelled up, like an inflated leather ball. Then, the Yaji Great Serpent roared up to the sky, and the 8 heads rose in unison, and then slammed into the tornado. The two huge and unparalleled forces collided, and suddenly produced a violent explosion. The terrifying impact spread out, destroying everything nearby into nothingness. The sky and the earth change color, and the clouds roll. The 8 heads of the Yaji great serpent carried the stranglehold of the tornado and pushed it into the air. Boom. Lightning and thunder. The sky and the earth are dark, as if the end has come. This scene lasted for a long time before it gradually stopped. Ha ha ha. Yaji Daishin is mighty. His Majesty the Emperor is invincible. Simi, our neon country is the master of this world. When the people of the island country saw that Emperor Zakora had resisted the other party's attack, they immediately cried with joy and excitement. Oh, stupid, ignorant, and arrogant humans, you know nothing about power. In the midst of the hurricane, Poseidon's laughter came and was clearly audible to the ears of everyone present. Even in the Tokyo base, which is more than 10 kilometers away, this taunt can be faintly heard. The moment the words fell, the pupils of the survivors of the island nation shrank sharply. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 244. The moment the words fell, the clouds above the sky turned into a huge funnel-shaped whirlpool, and a brilliant pillar of thunder light was projected from it, piercing the Yaji great serpent. This pillar of thunder contains terrifying power, and even survivors of island countries who are far away can feel a trace of danger. Arg! The Yaji great serpent roared, and its huge tail whipped in the sky. Bang! Under this pump, the clouds in the sky were pumped to pieces. However, the blue thunder pillar was not damaged in the slightest, and continued to attack the Yaji great snake. Seeing this, Zakora manipulated the 8 heads of the big snake to spit out 8 poisonous arrows in unison and shot towards the thunder. The speed of the thunder falling was fast, and in the blink of an eye, it had already reached the Yaji great snake. Boom. The continuous explosion resounded through the heavens and the earth. After touching the thunder, the 8 poisonous arrows turned into black smoke and disappeared. However, the momentum of the thunder did not weaken much, and it still smashed the Yaji great snake. While the great snake of Yaji let out a wail of pain, the huge snake god was pierced by the thunder hole, and the body composed of poisonous mist fell apart, turning into thousands of poisonous mist floating between heaven and earth. Emperor Zakora's heart contracted suddenly, and his face was extremely ugly. No, it's impossible. How could my Yaji great god lose to you? I will never allow this outcome. Emperor Zakora roared angrily, trying to summon it to reappear. However, he still underestimated Poseidon's strength. At this moment, I saw that the remnant thunder quickly condensed after the body of the Baki great snake dissipated, turning into a spear. The spear is golden all over, and there is a wisp of electricity at the tip of the spear. Ugh. With a fierce wind, the spear streaked across the sky at a speed faster than the speed of sound, and plunged into Emperor Zakora's chest. Emperor Zakora's pupils suddenly shrunk into pinpointed wheat, and he was horrified. No. I'm Emperor High. How could we die? In the next second, Emperor Zakora's figure slowly dissipated in place, and was actually shattered alive by the aftermath of the spear. Boom. Dark clouds gathered in the sky, thunder and lightning, and the terrifying scene reappeared. Poseidon beckoned to the void, and Zakora's last legacy, a 10th order energy crystal nucleus, slowly floated into his hand. HMPH, the ants actually dare to provoke the majesty of the sea god. It is simply a crime worthy of death. Poseidon snorted coldly, and then handed the supernatural crystal nucleus to Snake G. The two of them had already stepped into the realm of kings, and the energy cycle in their bodies was endless. The energy in the nucleus of the alien energy has lost its meaning to them. Only by handing it over to other royal families and helping them break through the realm can they truly demonstrate the value of this special energy crystal nucleus. Inside the Tokyo base, those survivors looked at the location of the Yaji great snake's death. Just now, their spiritual pillar, His Majesty the Emperor, fell like this. We finished. One survivor collapsed to the ground with a decadent face, tears streaming uncontrollably, muttering to himself. It's over. We are done. Everyone was pessimistic and couldn't help but cry. Your Majesty the Emperor, you can't leave us behind. Yaji God, please send down your divine grace and save us. The survivors cried and knelt on the ground and prayed to heaven. However, these prayers seemed to have no effect. Hoo. The hurricane began to head towards the base, and the strong wind pressure made the surrounding plants sway wildly. Under such a hurricane, even the toughest mutant vines quickly break. Shinji Abe stood in the middle of the crowd, his eyes full of despair. Ugh. Several black-clad ninjas suddenly appeared behind him. Your Excellency Ampere, please flee here on a nuclear submarine with the last seeds of the Yamato nation. Later, 30 nuclear bombs placed under the base will be detonated together. The Tsar Bomber in the Rich Mountains will also be detonated. The volcano will erupt, the Neon Country will be razed, and everything will cease to exist. I hope you can lead the fire of the Yamato nation, find a suitable place to multiply, and continue the bloodline for the Yamato nation. Also, please protect His Majesty's family. Long live Yamato. Long live the Emperor. Several ninjas saluted Shinji Abe respectfully, then took out a short knife and stabbed it at his abdomen. It's really a suicide in minutes. Poof. Crimson blood splattered, and they were killed on the spot, their bodies falling to the ground, their eyes round. Shinji Abe suddenly came to his senses. Escape. Hurry up and escape. Can't stay here and wait to die. Shinji Abe shouted, turned and ran. A secret base below the base, where scientific research equipment has been emptied, leaving only a mess of equipment. Shinji Abe, who came out of the elevator, got on a huge nuclear submarine under the guidance of soldiers. All of them are the elite personnel of the Neon Country, and those ordinary island people are not qualified to board this Noah's Ark. Quick, sail now, we are running out of time. Shinji Abe urged urgently. Hey. An officer's answer was heard from inside the wheelhouse, and then the nuclear submarine started and dived towards the deep sea. In this way, the nuclear submarine, which carries the last hope of the Yamato nation, gradually drifts away. On the sea, the storm is raging. The 100-meter high waves have flooded most of the Neon Country. Ordinary survivors seem insignificant in the face of this disaster. Oh my god. Is it a tsunami? Someone shouted in horror. Who will save us? I don't want to die. What about the knife? I'm going to commit suicide by seppuku and return me to Amaterasu's arms. Months to come, I'm not afraid of you. Some ordinary people shouted frantically, but many more ran around. It's just that they can't avoid this monstrous wave at all. At this moment, their bodies were like paper paste, easily photographed into meat puree. These survivors, like sheets of thin paper, are vulnerable. The entire Neon Nation continent fell into boundless chaos and panic. When Poseidon and Snegheim swept the waves to the submerged Tokyo base, there was no life in the base. The sea rushed down, burying the area completely. This heralds that the Neon Country has been completely erased from the map, and they have become the dust of history. It will be recorded in the Blue Star. This small country of Dangai, which has a history of only 1700 years, has left a strong mark in 21st century film and television dramas. This is thanks to the precious cultural relics specially preserved by the Emperor of the Great Xia Dynasty. Blue Star Blue Ephemera. On September 9, 2066, the Neon Island country was out of control due to a nuclear bomb, resulting in the eruption of the Mount Futu volcano and the sinking of the plate. Ash formed by volcanic eruptions obscures the sky and prevents the sun from shining on the earth. The temperature difference on Earth has been greatly reduced. Ocean temperatures drop and iceberg melting slows. As a result, the offensive of the sea tide stalled, giving mankind a lot of time to prepare. The Neon Nation has an indelible impact on the continuation of human civilization. It is hereby included in the Blue Star and given to future generations as a historical reference. Chapter 245. Strange, why didn't you see that human kid? Snake G looked at the site of the base that had been flooded by the sea, and her heart was full of doubts. It stands to reason that they all destroyed each other's hometowns, and there is no reason why they can't find each other at this time. Just when the two led countless fish people, mackerels, and sea beasts to search, a palpitating breath came from below. Snake G suddenly lowered her head and looked into the depths of the sea. I saw a blazing light rushing up from below, directly piercing the sky. Boom. The sea boiled, tumbled, and roared deafeningly. Damn, it's nuclear weapons. Snake G's face changed, and he took Poseidon and hurriedly retreated. The originally calm sea water was now like thousands of fierce beasts roaring. 30 nuclear bombs exploded at the same time, and the power produced was extremely terrifying. Even if she and Poseidon eat this hard, it is not comfortable. Mushroom clouds rise into the sky, forming a magnificent scene. But that's not the end. A series of roars resounded in the sky, and more than 30 nuclear bombs exploded almost simultaneously. Rough waves rise across the ocean. That powerful energy swept around. Boom. Snake G's body flew out upside down and smashed a reef in the distance before stopping. She spat blood from her mouth and was embarrassed. Poseidon, on the other hand, is a little better off than her, but not much better. Countless naga, fish people, and huge seeking beasts around were torn apart by this sudden explosion, and there were no bones. They don't even have time to howl before they die. The huge energy caused the continental plates to shake slightly. The earthquake was felt even throughout China. I didn't know. I thought it was an earthquake. The islands of the Neon Land are torn in half, revealing a pitch black seabed. The terrifying rift spread all the way to Mount Futu. The towering snow-capped mountains were torn apart, triggering that Ceres nuclear bomb hidden at the bottom of the volcano. This is by far one of the most lethal nuclear weapons in the human world. The equivalent of a terrifying 50 million tons of TNT equivalent, more than 3,000 times that of the broad D atom D. Its power is second only to the asteroid that caused the extinction of the dinosaurs. Near the crater, Mu-Yun crawled out of the black coffin. The neon country of the Dog Day. This is to pull the whole world into the water together. Mu-Yun naturally felt a shock just now, and as soon as the drone was destroyed, he knew that things were not good. As a result, as soon as he and Kinyu finished discussing the remuneration for the information about this natural disaster, this file came out. He only had time to burst into a foul language, put away the black coffin and teleported in the direction of the United States without looking back. Can I dodge such an explosion range? Mu-Yun glanced back and saw a palpitating energy erupting from inside the volcano, reflecting the entire sky crimson. Gan. Mu-Yun secretly clenched his fists, running the energy of the whole body to the limit. In the blink of an eye, Mu-Yun teleported 50,000 meters away. But he knew it wasn't far enough. Speed up again. Mu-Yun continued to accelerate, teleport, accelerate, teleport. Each time it is a short stay, and then continue to teleport. Like a mad dog, desperately trying to escape. Boom. The heart-shaking explosion sounded, making Mu-Yun's footsteps pause. A cloud of black mushrooms 10,000 meters high rises. Buzz. A fierce bright light covered the scorching sun in the sky. The whole world suddenly fell silent, and fell into an eternal white night. After a brief period of deafness, a billowing heat wave hit in an instant. The seawater around Mount Futu was instantly evaporated, revealing a dry and solid earth. Immediately, Mount Futu and the Neon country began to fall apart, cut into countless pieces by a strange force. A circle of energy ripples spread out at more than 5 degrees per second. Under the influence of this ripple, the continental plate began to appear a slight crack. Mu-Yun, who had fled to 80,000 meters away, was swept away by this energy fluctuation, and the whole person flew towards the rear like a kite with a broken line. Puai. Mu-Yun fell violently in the mud at the bottom of the sea, splashing ripples. Mu-Yun, who had escaped so far, was seriously injured by the aftermath, and the Snake G and Poseidon who were close at hand suffered unprecedented trauma. Poseidon also tried to summon a hurricane to resist 1 or 2, but in just 0.05 seconds, his hurricane was torn into fragments. Ah! Snake G let out a harsh scream, and the snake tail under him was instantly annihilated by half by the terrifying energy fluctuations. Poseidon on the other side is about the same. Although he is not dead, his body is already broken, and the skeleton on his body is clearly visible. The two looked up at the sky with difficulty, but saw that the terrifying mushroom cloud was still suspended in the sky. Circle after circle of energy waves rippled, as if layer after layer of ripples, squeezing and distorting the surrounding air. Let's go. Snake G grabbed Poseidon with one hand, jumped into the deep sea without hesitation, and fled into the distance. The power of the explosion rolled up huge waves, affecting the coasts closer to the Neon country. The strong tremor even affected the other side of the blue star. All over the world, creatures felt the tremor from the earth. Mu Yun just surfaced and collided head-on with the huge waves that swept in. Lean. Don't be so unlucky. Mu Yun scolded, quickly ran the energy in his body, and teleported away again. He didn't know how many times he teleported until the energy in his body was exhausted, and Mu Yun plunged into the small world. Ha, what a bunch of crazy #yen. #yen. Mu Yun below exuded the graceful national essence, and vented the anger in his heart. A day later, the world has returned to calm. The Neon Country, which was originally razed to the ground, was originally razed to the ground due to plate movement, resulting in a large number of active volcanoes on the site of Mount Futu. These active volcanoes spewed lava and flames. Hundreds of craters spew out thick smoke, and tongues of fire engulfed everything. The sky was also filled with grey mist, obscuring the sun. This man-made disaster has caused enormous damage to the global environment. Well, the global environment has long been destroyed by the end times. Volcanic ash and volcanic gases are ejected high into the air, and they are scattered around the world with the ocean monsoon. These volcanic materials obscure sunlight and filter out certain wavelengths of light, making the sun and moon appear to be covered with a halo that gives them exotic colors. The already hot weather began to plummet. The extremely hot natural disaster was restrained by this man-made natural disaster. Really? Dad said, well, we must use natural disasters to deal with natural disasters. Chapter 246. When Mu Yun came out of the small world again, the sky was grey. Black night covers the entire continent. Volcanic ash and unknown substances fell from the sky like snowflakes. Looking at the vast sea around him, Mu Yun knew where he was at the moment. The smartwatch he was wearing had been destroyed in previous battles, but fortunately he still had his phone. Opening the map of lack of virtue, Mu Yun was surprised to find it. I actually crossed the Pacific Ocean and came directly to the United States. Before Mu Yun ran away in a panic, afraid of continuing to be chased by Snake G, so he kept teleporting in the opposite direction of Huaguo. As a result, he ran to the Sea of the United States, which made him extremely depressed. It took time to fly back, the egg hurts. But on second thought, that's not necessarily a bad thing. The conditions originally negotiated with the official were all ruined because of this man-made natural disaster, and my supplies, seeds and animals were gone. Thinking of this, Mu Yun felt a pang of annoyance for no reason. Before, Kinyu went to consult with the above and obtained a large number of plant seeds for Mu Yun, as well as some animals. The condition is to lure the two sea emperors to the waters of the United States. Now it is not clear whether Snake G and Poseidon will survive, let alone lure them to the United States. There is also the use of information on natural disasters to exchange officials for a large number of building materials and special metal materials. Now that the extreme heat has been greatly slowed down, the information provided by Mu Yun is dispensable. The opportunity of the two was missed, and Mu Yun felt that he had lost several hundred million. Since they are all here, there is no reason not to bring some special products back. Mu Yun set his gaze on a continent in the distance. The breath of freedom. 0 yuan purchase. I'm coming. After speaking, Mu Yun stepped on the land of freedom and beauty in a few teleportations. The coastline of the United States is also occupied by a large area of fish people Naga. The original high-rise buildings are covered by green tides, and the seawater is constantly rushing in, washing the seaside city. The scene in front of him is similar to that of the magic capital. After all, the natural disasters experienced around the world are very similar. Mu Yun did not stop and galloped towards the inland. It was not clear what the city he was in at the moment was called, and Mu Yun was not interested in knowing. Anyway, I came to buy it for 0 yuan, and after buying something, we will yo-yo. After all, he came to do bad things. Mu Yun found a black cloak to cover his appearance. Where is it good to go? I don't know where the supplies of the United States are stored. At this moment, Mu Yun missed Yi Hanayu a little. With her, the secrets of the United States will not be hidden. Unfortunately, Yi Hanayu at this moment is still an egg, and it is estimated that it will take another 3 weeks to break out of the shell. Blind search was a bit of a waste of time. Thinking for a moment, Mu Yun contacted Jiang Ming. Think about asking him if he knows what to write. Something to say. Busy. Brother, you're floating. What? It turned out to be Muyun. I thought it was Lee Cheofan's two brats. Are you okay? I heard that the Neon country was bombed, and even our coastline here was affected. Stop. Get down to business. I'm not a big deal, but for some reason, I went to the United States. You don't say. That the base lacks metal materials, so where in the United States there are the most such materials, you know. Oh, clear. The two of them knew it in a silent way, and Jiang Mengshu understood the meaning of Muyun's words. Think for a moment. Don't say, I really know there's a place. Oh. Talk about it. Have you seen those alloys in my shelter? Of course. That is the alloy used in aerospace. The rocket made by launching the Skynet satellite is this material. I have this point in my hand. Is the rest of the company's use. The raw material is imported from the United States. You know. Where is the location? Chicago. Tescox, Energy Metals Biology Experiment Center. What a strange name. The company also has a name. Umbrella. That's right. It's the biochemical company in the movie. They do not belong to the official United States. Their backgrounds are very large, and the business involved covers almost the whole world, and even our dark web has suffered from them. But after all, it is the eldest sister, and the other party has not asked for any benefits. In short, you tread carefully, and don't capsize in the gutter. Okay, I see. The base has nothing to do these 2 days. Right. It's not a big problem. The 91 sequence has returned to the base, and is rapidly moving up the rank. Zhang Li and they are also out of the customs, but they have left the base to hunt fish people just now, saying that it is a rare opportunity, and try to break through the 9th order mark this month. Other core members have also begun to break through one after another, and when you come back, maybe they will surpass you. Think too much. Your uncle will always be your uncle. Gone. Something is in contact. Smooth journey. Ending the call. Muyun was determined in his heart. At this moment, the Dragon Court base no longer needed him to worry too much. Unless the existence of the King Realm knocks on the door, it will not be able to shake the foundation of the Dragon Court base at all. As for the threat of nuclear weapons, Yi Hanai who had already invaded all systems in the world. The nuclear weapons code was monitored in real time. If there is any disturbance, the brain inside the shelter will issue a warning. As long as they are prevented in advance, with Zhang Li's ability, they are enough to deal with it. 10 8th order special powers. If they can't even solve a nuclear bomb, that's Chuyu alone could teleport a nuclear bomb dozens of kilometers away before it detonated. In previous classes, Yi Hanai also talked about dozens of options on how to deal with nuclear weapons. In this regard, Muyun had nothing to worry about. The lack of virtue map always navigates for you. 387 kilometers away from Chicago, Tescochi, Energy Metal Biology Experiment Center, the destination, and the front turns around. Opening the navigation, Muyun flew straight towards the destination. Has deviated from course. Please turn around. Please turn around. Along the way, Muyun found that the situation in the United States was very bad. Hua Jiuo relied on the Black Rain to improve a wave of strength and was barely able to stabilize the situation. But the United States is miserable. This is the beautiful tip of freedom, a country that celebrates individual heroism. Most of their survival mode is to act in small teams and cannot form a collective consciousness. This results in them having no ability to resist in the face of the corpse tide or the beast tide. The official power of the Chinese state has stopped the tide of beasts in Shenanjia, but no one in the United States has resisted the tide of beasts rushing out of the temperate rainforest of Tongas. Muyun could see that huge beasts and groups of beasts were galloping around the city everywhere. There is a reason why there are so few Americans. Chapter 247. With the help of navigation, Muyun flew for several hours and arrived at Tesco in Chicago. The city was once prosperous and rich, but with the passage of time, it has long been destroyed. The streets were devastated on both sides, occasionally zombies and beast remains, and the smell of decay filled the air. The traces of the baptism of war are very obvious, and a large number of high-rise houses have collapsed, forming a huge ruin. At the center of the ruin stands a magnificent base surrounded by high walls. The corpses and beasts around the base had been cleaned up, and Mu-Yun could see signs of a large number of survivors' activities. The buildings in the base are relatively intact and even have electricity. This is the medium-sized base that Mu-Yun has seen in the best state since he came to the United States. I guess this place is right. Mu-Yun landed not far from the base and did not attract the attention of the surrounding survivors. Then, pretending to be an ordinary survivor, he slowly approached the base. As soon as I arrived at the entrance of the base, I heard a loud noise, and it seemed that there was an argument. Don't let us in. By what? We are a US Marine Corps outpost, a survivor base. What qualifies us to stop us? Do you want to eat cannonballs? The noise grew louder and louder, even mixed with a few gunshots. Mu-Yun frowned and quietly stepped forward. Soon, he saw the two sides of the argument. 3 men in camouflage uniforms and a white woman who looked like her chief. The 4 seemed to want to enter the base, but the soldiers defending the city refused to let them go. And the 6 soldiers defending the city were in a very strange state, wearing well-made khaki combat uniforms with expressionless faces. Even though the female commander fired several shots into the sky in anger, the soldiers were still unmoved, and their eyes were cold. In the end, there was a stalemate for a long time, and the 4 American military personnel were weak, so they could only leave for the time being, and wait for the arrival of the large army, to give this base a good look. Seeing the 4 people leave, the survivors who wanted to enter the city, but were blocked, breathed a sigh of relief. Mu-Yun watched as they lined up methodically to enter the base. Each survivor had a barcode-style tattoo engraved on his arm. The guards only need to scan with the instrument and confirm that they are correct, and they will be relieved. Some survivors who enter the base for the first time are led to another passage by staff wearing protective suits. I don't know if I take it for physical examination or what to do. In short, it won't be too simple. Everything seems ordinary, but there is an indescribable weirdness. Mu-Yun quietly observed the whole process, unfolding the field, wanting to find out. This time taken away were a white couple and a daughter about 10 years old. Very ordinary family of 3. Soon the 3 were taken away, and Mu-Yun passed through the spiritual exploration of the field, and followed his gaze into a closed room. Inside, Mu-Yun found a variety of experimental equipment, as well as surgical tools. Dad. The girl next to her was a little scared. The husband touched the girl's hair, and reassured her not to be afraid. We need to do a physical examination of you, and confirm that you can enter the base to live. An amiable staff member stood in front of the 3 and said gently, please follow me. The staff led the mother and daughter to a spacious shower room, and the husband was taken to another room. Mu-Yun locked his gaze on the mother and daughter. There was no other meaning, just curiosity. After washing their bodies, the 2 changed into clean clothes, and the staff took them to the next room. He first asked for the names of his wife and daughter, and then began to record their information and indicators. The front was a very normal operation, until the staff gave the 2 people a shot. In a few seconds, the mother and daughter fainted to the ground. Oh my god, what a beautiful body. The staff licked his lips with an intoxicated expression, his eyes narrowed into a slit. Jason, put away your careful thoughts. If you catch you as a pig, after you are discovered, don't blame me for not reminding you. A serious and majestic man's voice came from outside the door. Oh, Professor Kane, how so? The staff laughed flatteringly. I just think these 2 ladies are so beautiful, I can't bear to ruin them. You better grasp the scale. I don't want to lose these 2 valuable research materials, of course, provided that these 2 people meet the criteria of the experiment. The man outside the door said lightly. Don't worry, I understand. Jason agreed with a grin. Mu-Yun secretly sighed. It's still crooked nuts that can play. It's too punishable. Jason took out a large number of instruments, began taking blood samples from the 2 men, and performed a series of full body examinations. My god, Professor Kane, come and see this little girl's data. Jason suddenly exclaimed. Kane heard the movement, stopped what he was doing, and hurriedly broke into the testing room. This is an old man with white hair and gold-rimmed glasses, and a thin face that reveals Xang. The body is dirty, somewhat slovenly. After seeing those shocking numbers on the screen, Kane's pupils constricted. How can this kid's data be so high? It's unbelievable. Yes, I'm also surprised. This girl is just an ordinary person. It was incredible that her physical functions were actually stronger than her third order mother. Jason was excited. Professor Kane, I can guarantee that this is definitely the best experimental subject to become a mother. Kane was silent for a long time and shook his head. I will report this matter to the boss. Don't startle the snake first. Also, the girl's father can't move for the time being, and arranged for them to live in the core area. Obey, Professor. Jason took the data, and couldn't wait to run out of the room. Arriving at the operating table, Kane personally injected 2 microchips into the little girl's arms and spine, and then sutured the wound. During the process, Kane was careful not to destroy this treasure. For a long time, the family of 3 woke up from the coma and was sent to a car and drove into the central area of the base. Myun infiltrated the base by teleporting, evading the patrolling soldiers and the monitoring of the electronic eye, and followed closely behind the car. It seems that there are many unknown secrets in this place, and since that little girl is an important experimental subject, following her should be able to find the key. So, he walked all the way, and entered the core of the base together. Along the way, Myun found that the road was cleaned very cleanly, and the surrounding buildings were also quite advanced. It's like being in a sci-fi world, full of futuristic houses and facilities, which will make you dazzled. The humans who live here seem to have become accustomed to their surroundings, to work, to play. On the surface, everything is peaceful, and it seems to be a utopia in the end times. But Myun keenly smelled the smell of conspiracy. In the last days, the more peaceful the place, there is often a dark side that is not known. Myun believed that it would not be long before he could find the truth behind this. Chapter 248. Hey, Flower, go have another drink tonight. Oh, if you have a treat, I think I'll go. Hansen. Well, I'd better go talk to Taylor. I heard that he stayed outside with the search team for a week, and the harvest was amazing. He must have missed the bunny girls at the ghostly disc bar. Don't bump into your wife, or we'll probably have to be in the hospital the next time we meet. She doesn't show up on the weekend. She's going to have fun with her girlfriends, and promise not to meet. Hopefully. Myun happened to pass by an alley, and heard the conversation of 2 black men. The amount of information is a bit big, and he has to take a good look. If you want to live a decent life, you have to have a little green on your head. If this Hansen goes to open a hat shop, he will definitely make a profit. Follow the car and go deeper. There was a towering minaret in the center of the base, and Myun vaguely guessed that it should be the so-called core area of the base. The car came to an apartment building below the minaret, where a family of 3 was housed. Myun could clearly feel that there were several times more guards around, and the number of electronic eyes was almost covered by dead ends. This hindered Myun's actions, and in order not to startle the snake, he could only expand the spiritual domain field, and continue to watch in a dark alley somewhere. Fortunately, at this moment, the scope of the field has reached a radius of 10,000 meters, which can completely cover the entire core area, and there is no big problem. Through previous observations, Myun learned that the little girl's name was Annie, her mother's name was Anna, and her father's name was Vic. The 3 were housed in room 606 of the apartment building. The decoration style of the room is a bit similar to the style of the bedroom on the 2nd floor of Jiangming Shelter. The decoration has a sense of futuristic technology and is very simple, but the 2 bedrooms and 1 living room have everything. It seems that this place is quite rich, and these buildings consume a lot of materials. Myun touched his chin thoughtfully. This is good news that he has come to the right place. But now is not the time for him to strike. That Sarah's nuclear bomb of the Neon Country sounded the alarm for Myun. Even if his powers are strong, he must proceed with caution. Human technology is in some ways no worse than that of the mighty, or even better. The key was that he felt a palpitation in this base, as if some kind of existence made Myun instinctively feel dangerous. Just as Myun was deep in thought, Jason and Professor Kane entered the minaret. Using a barcode on their arm, the 2 took the elevator to a conference room on the middle floor of the minaret. Inside sat several experts in white coats with grey hair. The head of the man and woman is very young. They are the heads of the entire base's research team, Professor Steven and Dr. Araya. Steven has blonde hair and silver-rimmed round-rimmed glasses on the bridge of his nose, looking warm as jade, quite gentlemanly. Next to Ella, she looks like a typical Western beauty, with curly chestnut brown hair, blue eyes, and a hot and sexy figure. She was wearing a white overalls, but it seemed that the size of the clothes was a little smaller. The button on the chest bears a weight that it should not bear at its age, and it feels like the slightest movement may burst open, revealing a large snow white and alluring spring light. Jason glanced at the button on Ariah's chest, swallowed, and then quickly looked away. Even though Ariah kept throwing winks at him, he was indifferent. He knew the truest side of Dr. Ariah, and the men she spent the night with were gone. Either it becomes a specimen, or becomes the next experimental subject. Small lives matter, can't afford to provoke, can't afford to provoke. The two came to everyone, and immediately took out the data reports of the little girl Annie. Professor Steven, Dr. Ariah, please see, that's why you are summoned. Professor Kane pressed the small black box on the conference table, and a 3D virtual light curtain appeared in front of everyone. In the light curtain, images describe in detail the changes in the little girl's physical functions from various data such as the physical condition of the little girl and the analysis of blood samples. Oh my god, such a perfect subject. This is a gift from God. I've never seen such perfect experimental material. I think we have to think carefully. We can't waste this kind of experimental material, and we need to use a more secure way to cultivate it successfully. For a moment, there was a lot of discussion in the room. Steven was very calm. He pushed the silver-rimmed glasses and asked, shouldn't an ordinary little girl have such data and investigate the cause? Jason shook his head. It wasn't investigated. It was weird. Her blood sample was very complicated. According to the results of various data analysis, her gene strand is different from ordinary people, but it is acquired. We suspect that the subject has eaten some kind of fruit, or something else that caused the gene chain to change. Dr. Ariah nodded. Well, I agree with this inference. Subject number 1 once said that she once got a strange fruit, and she swallowed that fruit before she had a mutation. Seconded. I agree. Everyone in the conference room expressed their views, and agreed with Dr. Ariah's judgment. It seems that the so-called key fruit is real. Steven nodded calmly. Then, now temporarily block the news of the second experimental body and send someone to test the information about the key fruit. The rest of the people are fully prepared for the experimental agent and experimental environment and immediately simulate the best implementation plan, which must ensure perfect success and absolutely no accidents like the original number 1 experimental body. Okay, let's go back and arrange it. Everyone stood up and left the conference room. Only Dr. Ariah stayed. Mr. Steven, do you have any other instructions? Ariah asked with a smile. HMPH, someone disappeared in the base last night. You did it. Steven stared at her coldly. You're getting more and more daring. Unfazed, Ariah retorted. How can it be me? My job is just to help you manage this place, and I can't take care of anything else. Yes, I hope you can remember who you are. Steven said coldly, you are just an experimental subject. I can apply to the above at any time to directly destroy you. Of course. Ariah smiled and bowed her head. So rest assured, I will do my duty. Jump. As he spoke, a button suddenly collapsed to the ground. Ariah's chest flashed, and Steven found that he was wearing nothing underneath. Sorry, it's gone. Ariah's cheeks were slightly red, and she bent down to pick up the buttons. This caused the already overwhelmed blouse to completely collapse, revealing her plump and delicate body. Although this posture was a little indecent, Ariah did not care, but showed her charming smile and slowly approached Steven. Fuck off. Don't come near me. Steven snorted coldly. However, Ariah was still not afraid and stepped forward. Giggle. Mouth says no, but the body is very honest. Chapter 249. Under Ariah's constant offensive, Steven was defeated and had to let Ariah fiddle with his clothes. After several entanglements, the conference room was in shambles. Steven put his arm around Ariah's slender waist and gasped, do you want to die? I just want to be one with you. Ariah hooked her lips seductively. Don't you like it? Enough. It's been 5 times, and if you continue, your body will be damaged. Steven frowned. You are worried about my body. It means that you have begun to fall in love with me. Our relationship is no longer clear, and you are willing to let me die. HMPH, you think too much. I'm just worried about the experimental data. Then go on. I don't believe it's not attractive to you. Araya gently pushed Steven to bring him closer to her. Steven took a deep breath. After all, he couldn't resist the temptation, couldn't suppress the desire in his heart carrot, and went crazy with her. Asking again and again, Araya lay wearily in Steven's arms, her eyes half closed. Her figure is too enchanting, and Steven looks bloody, but helpless. He only felt that there were two thoughts fighting in his mind, and it seemed that no one could convince anyone. That's it for today. Steven said in a low voice, if you really want to die, I will fulfill you. With that, Steven turned and left. What a ruthless man. Just as he was about to step out of the threshold, Araya's resentful voice came from behind him. Steven paused, didn't answer, and left straight. After Steven's footsteps completely disappeared, Araya slowly got up from the floor, and a strange arc appeared at the corner of her mouth. Gee, what a bonus. Mu-Yun witnessed the whole process, and couldn't help but sigh. Of course, Mu-Yun was referring to the news about the key fruit, which had nothing to do with the later scene. Originally, I just wanted to get some special metal materials back, but I didn't expect that this umbrella company actually had news about the key fruit. And the subject they are working on seems to be related to those 6 gene locks. Mu-Yun rubbed his chin and muttered. In that case, I can't act rashly. I'm determined to get the key, and I will never allow others to be taken first. Time was fleeting, and it was late at night. The moonlight was shrouded in grey gas, becoming eerie and cold. The whole world seemed to fall into a strange state. The base, shrouded in darkness, like a monster lurking in the darkness, is filled with a creepy sense of danger. Mu-Yun did not stand in place stupidly and waited. According to the other party, this important experiment requires preparation time, and continuing to stare at the An family will only waste time. Therefore, Mu-Yun decided to launch an intelligence investigation on this base first. There are so many secrets hidden here. Mu-Yun now needs to know the source of materials in the base, that is, the location of the warehouse. There is also the storage location of crystal nuclei, as well as the location of building materials, special metals. Figure this out, so that he can easily lead the sheep when he retreats. After that, wait for the other party to get the information of the key fruit, and cut off the beard in advance. Finally, if he could, he needed to steal the other party's test data. Although Mu-Yun couldn't understand it, with them all in there, everything was not a problem. As for the secret of this woman Araya, he was not very interested. Even if she was the subject of Steven's mouth. After all, they said that Anne was the best experimental subject, and Araya was estimated to be a failure, or had nothing to do with this experiment at all. It's better to focus directly on Annie. It's really not possible to tie back to the Dragon Court to study it yourself. After clarifying his thoughts, Mu-Yun began to act. The night is dark and the wind is high and the night is murderous. Get started. Ghost Disc Bar. Welcome come. Dressed in a sexy and revealing bunny girl, she shows her proud capital to the customers who enter the store. Under the dim and ambiguous light of the bar, sexy girls in pairs gather around the dance floor and twist the enchanting water snake's waist, seducing tonight's prey. There are not many people in the bar. After all, the average person here cannot afford to spend. A Sven-looking man walked up to the bar and smiled at the waiter. I want a cocktail. When the waiter saw that the man was well dressed and elegantly talking, he immediately ordered the bartender to start working. Yes sir, please wait. HMM. The waiter's bartending kung fu. A pair of slender and white hands reached out to the man's arm, and the action was frivolous. Hello, alone. The woman's soft and delicate voice was a little charming. My name is Victory. The woman has wavy golden hair, light makeup painted on her face, a white dress wrapped in a white dress, and the full breasts on her chest dangle with her movements, which is very eye-catching. Good evening, beautiful lady. My name is Trump. The man smiled gentlemanly and naturally held the woman's jade hand. Have a drink together? Okay, thanks for the invitation. Victoria ruffled the curls next to her ears and snuggled lazily to the man's side. Give this lady a glass of Blue Fairy. The man ordered the bartender. Victoria smiled lightly. Thank you. The man bowed his head slightly and did not say anything. The man's true identity is naturally Mu Yun, but his face has changed. At this moment, in the eyes of outsiders, he is a standard American. With a high nose, big eyes, and golden brown hair, he is a typical American handsome guy who exudes a charming hormonal atmosphere. This is a psionic prop researched by Emolin, called the Transfiguration Mask. The details of the face can be freely adjusted according to the user's preference. It seems to be made from a flesh-based supernatural crystal nucleus. It should be some unlucky ghost. The ability mutated when awakening the special energy of the flesh, but unfortunately, the improvement of combat effectiveness is almost zero, and it was sacrificed early. Finding a more remote corner, the waiter brought 2 glasses of wine, then glanced meaningfully at Victoria, and left in a hurry. Vidali, who was nestled in Mu Yun's arms, suddenly came close to his ear and blew hot airways. Mr. Trump, listening to your accent, you should not be a local. Mu Yun's English level is not bad, but after all, he is not an authentic American, and his accent is a little messy, so Victoria can detect it. Well, I heard that there is a very safe and comfortable base city here, so I came from other states. I guess that doesn't affect spending the night with beautiful ladies, does it? Victoria was stunned for a moment, and then covered her lips and chuckled. Of course, on the contrary, I'm very interested in Mr. S' experience, it is better too. Saying that, Mu Yun felt a pair of mischievous jade hands, slowly reaching into his thighs. Chapter 250. Mu Yun's eyebrows were raised, but he pretended to be nonchalant, letting Victoria wander around his legs. Seeing that Mu Yun did not refuse, Victoria became even more bold. She leaned over and approached Mu Yun, and a seductive aroma came to her nose, which made Mu Yun feel a little dazzled. Seeing this, Victoria's eyes narrowed slightly, a wisp of cunning flashed in her eyes, and her slender palm caressed along the gap between Mu Yun's trousers. Just as her little hand was stroking, Mu Yun suddenly held her wrist. Victoria looked up and happened to crash into Mu Yun's deep and dark eyes. What a look that is. As if with aggression and predation, and as if it was an icy cold pool, people can't help but sink, and even want to be trapped by him forever, and never get out again. Mu Yun's voice was magnetic and low, revealing a deadly sexiness. I think we need to talk about formal topics. Victoria's heart suddenly skipped a beat, and then she withdrew her hand, her red lips slightly opened. What do you want to talk about? About. Cooperate. Mu Yun's voice was very gentle. Cooperation? Yes. The corner of Mu Yun's mouth hung with an evil lark. His black eyes looked directly into Victoria's eyes and slowly spit out a sentence. You need a partner. Oh. Do you know me then? Victoria blinked her pretty eyes and asked with a smile. Of course, Dr. Araya. What? Victoria was shocked. A playful smile crossed Mu Yun's eyes. Mr. Trump said and laughed. I'm not Dr. Alia. Victoria denied it. Yes, of course. Mu Yun shrugged his shoulders with a disappointed expression. In that case, then I will take my leave. Wait. As soon as Mu Yun turned around, he was pulled by Victoria's sleeves. Mu Yun's footsteps paused, turned his head, and looked at her. Don't you want to know my secret? Victoria said coquettishly, with a hint of greed in her eyes. Mu Yun hooked his lips and smiled. I think you will be willing to tell me. Room 502. Honey, you'll come. Victoria handed the room card to Mu Yun and left in a hurry. Mu Yun stood in place and looked at her leaving back with a hint of playfulness in her eyes. Huh. Restless woman. It seems that Steven can't do it. He didn't feed her. The corner of Mu Yun's mouth raised a mocking smile, and he took the room card and walked straight to room 502. Click. The door lock opened, and Mu Yun walked in with long legs. What came into view was a beautiful woman who had just taken a bath. The golden curls drape wetly behind her head, and a pair of sapphire-like crystal clear earrings glow in the light. The delicate facial features are like the most expressive ink paintings under the artist's pen and ink, and only a white bath towel is worn on the white and slender neck. You can vaguely see the tender, round and upturned curves on the chest. At this moment, Victoria has become Mariah. She is lying lazily on the sofa, a pair of turquoise eyes staring at Mu Yun, with a charming and sultry smile on her face. So, Mysterious Mr. Trump, shall we talk about the heart first, or will we do something else first? Myung naturally sat next to Araya, picked up the wine glass on the table, and took a sip. Araya's body moved a few inches into Myung's arms, clinging to Myung with her proud twin peaks, and a burst of numbness rose from Myung's body. Putting down the goblet in his hand, Myung said lightly, I like simple and crude methods to solve everything. Araya's eyes wavered, and she reached out and wrapped her arms around Myung's neck. Coincidentally, I'm too at the moment. When Xianggan's red lips came together, Myung's eyes were quick, and his hands clamped on Araya's slender waist. Araya only felt that the sky was spinning, and her whole body flew out upside down, falling heavily on the soft big bed. Yay. The sudden change made her exclaim. Myung stared at Araya condescendingly, her thin lips slightly open. I'm not Steven's kind of waist that can't resist temptation. This set of beauty schemes of yours, in my place, has no effect. Araya's body stiffened on the bed, and she bit her lip to force herself to remain calm. HMPH, no man can resist my temptation, unless they don't lift it. Araya's tone was full of pride. Yes? Myung chuckled. Then do you want to give you a trophy? Araya glared at Myung. Who the hell are you? Why can I see my identity? Myung's mouth pursed with a shallow smile. It doesn't matter who I am. The important thing is that I see your current predicament. Maybe what you need happens to be what I have, and what I need happens to be what you have. So, Araya asked rhetorically, I'll help you solve the current dilemma. Myung slowly spoke. At the same time, you also need to pay the corresponding reward. Pay? Araya's eyebrows frowned slightly, and then her brows stretched. Oh, man. Araya's face lit up with mockery. I think you misunderstood. Although you look good, I really have no interest in your body, and it is difficult to confirm whether your current appearance is original. Myung shook his head. Araya's face turned gloomy. I still like the way you looked just now, and now you make me feel annoyed. Myung spread out his hands. If you can lose the dagger hidden in your chest, then I can return to the way I was just now. Hearing this, Araya's pupils shrank suddenly, and she felt that all the secrets in her body were hidden in front of this man. Originally, in order to have a relationship with Steven during the day, he consumed a lot of energy in his body. At night, I had to continue to come out and hunt suitable targets. At that time, the ghost was obsessed, attracted by Trump's appearance, and thought about it. Who would have thought? High-end hunters tend to appear as prey. Today it was a boat capsized in the gutter. I saw Araya slowly stretch out her hand, take out a sharp dagger from among the two peaks, and casually throw it on the ground. I like to deal with smart people, and save me time with my fists. Myung saw that the other party was so obedient, he returned to the sofa again, and began to ask about the secrets hidden in this base. The long night was long, and the lone man and widow sat like this for the night. After getting what he wanted, Myung left the hotel. Looking at the back of the other party's departure, Araya's eyes were deep. HMPH, I hope you don't lie to me, otherwise. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.